Just getting U.S. initial jobless claims here on a week-over-week basis, coming in for last week, 233,000 versus 240,000 consensus there. So a little bit of a downside print, 1.875 million on the continuing claims number on a week-over-week basis, a little bit higher than expected, 1.87 million. The expected number overall, that's about it as far as economic data expected this morning. Wholesale inventories coming up at 10 a.m. Not typically a market mover as the overall market, back to the upside we go on that jobless data this morning. Helping a little bit here anyways. Eli Lilly, what a move off this better than expected report for LLY this morning. To the upside we go in a pretty big way here. Hood with a beat coming off the back of the revival of meme stocks for felt like 15 minutes there. We had another rally in some of those meme stocks, but yeah, Robinhood benefiting, crypto obviously benefiting Robinhood as well on the earnings front. There's Apple, nice pop up to 211.50. So Michael Saylor comes out yesterday and discloses $1 billion of his own personal crypto holdings. Just conveniently the day before MSTR trades post-split. So MSTR 10 for 1. MSTR is $130 today.
And it's doing volume, Brendo.
Yeah.
I was looking in the pre-market, it's doing volume. We're all eyes today on MSTR. Obviously, it was a very expensive stock initially, so it was out of the reach of some retail investors. That's changed today, so we'll keep eyes on that. Separately, there was net inflows into Bitcoin yesterday, but net outflows on the ETH ETFs from yesterday as well. So we'll keep eyes on Bitcoin active this morning, Brendo.
Yeah, kind of an interesting move here for the overall market. Again, that weekly jobless claims number downside, 233 versus 240. So market liking that, which is a little bit contrarian to what we've seen over the past couple of weeks here, but we'll see. 0.8 right now for the NASDAQ, 0.7, pushing 0.7 anyways for the S&P. Trying to bounce back after a weak end of the day yesterday, aftermarket yesterday as well. I mean, we didn't even mention Bumble, just an absolute disaster. Down 50+% at this point.
Very ridiculous. Yeah, the Bumble earnings were not good at all. I guess we'll get that on the rundown. 40 some odd percent. Brendo mentioning 30 some odd percent. It's changing in the pre-market. But yeah, we were talking off camera before we went live. You know, it may be not the one that everyone is focusing on anymore. They tend to go through cycles. Tinder started it kind of Bumble. Now I hear it's Hinge. I don't know, locally maybe different, but we'll keep eyes on that one today.
Yeah, a lot to get to this morning. We'll touch on Palantir. More headlines coming through on the AI side of things as well for PLTR as the market continues here, guys.
Good morning, everybody. The market does continue. Bitcoin just hit 58,000. Good for you, Mr. Saylor. And then when we got that jobs number, Apple went like a $2 to the upside. NVIDIA went a couple of bucks to the upside. You can see the ES was kind of hovering at overnight lows. Bit of a bump. We held 18,000 on the NASDAQ just now. Just looking at some of the names that moved a little bit here, Apple being one of them. But I feel like there was some puns that were missed there, like Bumble fumbles their earnings. Bumble bungles on earnings. We'll talk some Beyond Meat as well, because why not? Hey, there's so many things that reported, and Beyond Meat did the old dipsy-do that I think is pretty bearish. Oh, thank you, Randy. Look at that. Coming with service. We'll leave this. Probably going to have this one get like a day, at least half a day. It's a little green. I don't mind the green that bad, but I'll give it till like midday or something like that. Looking like it's going to be an interesting morning, to be sure. Dara just got me one, but thank you. Do you want a coffee?
No, I'm good.
Okay, Obi's also good. So
got one as well.
We're locked and loaded, ready to go. There's a lot to look at on earnings. Like that spike, don't want to overreact to it yet. I mean, we were sitting here, Obi, both thinking that 98, I mean, like the 98 potential breakdown on NVIDIA here. Had it happened, you had a pretty big gap underneath. And then if you watch the the afternoon show, and we're talking and trading some NVIDIA, 101.5 into 102, like a previous support level, resistance in the evening. I still think that lies out there for us on NVIDIA, but a big, strong move in the market. I don't want to overreact to it. We're back above that 18,000. So, yeah, some things are looking bullish. Don't forget the day two plays, right? Like Upstart. Shopify was very strong as well. So those should be back on our radar for some strong ones.
Yeah, for sure. No, day two plays, we saw what Uber did on the day two.
Right.
Nice little continuation, right? We saw what was there was one more day two that happened yesterday.
Palantir.
Palantir, that was the one. We saw the nice little continuation that can happen on a day two move. So I got some day twos on watch today as well. Upstart, yesterday, very, very strong. We saw what it did. Shopify, yes. Disney, a little bit. It sold off all day. I like that we got a little bit lower than some of these prior levels. 86 seems interesting on Disney. Got Airbnb on watch, SMCI on watch. Nvidia back through that 100. Oh boy, we dropped down to 97s. We were trying to get long at the end of the day yesterday. Didn't quite work out, but we'll keep this on watch. We got the jobs number bringing us right back above that 18.1 here from yesterday. So in and around this area. Was trying to get long on the Nvidia. Remember, we tried to confluence that with that 18th hour bounce. Didn't really work out overnight. We come down to 17.8. Now we're pushing right back up. Let's see if we can get a little bit of reversion. Yesterday we sold off aggressively from 11 o'clock all the way into the close. May or may not had anything to do with Adara wearing all red starting at 11 o'clock. But tinfoil suit, tinfoil hat. Let's see what happens today. Let's see if we get a little bit of reversion.
I see green over there.
I see green today.
I actually see green.
I see a little bit of green today. So let's see if we kind of if that kind of comes in midday. We'll be watching out for that. But yeah, no. Hopefully we got some interesting names on watch.
I think really,
a lot of Bumble day one.
If the market goes up a couple of points, if we end up 2% up on the NASDAQ, then I think we're going to have to start investing in more green for Adara's wardrobe. Because if she wears red and the market goes down and then rolls green, and if we end up 2% today, then we're going to need to make some things happen around here. Although she just told me she has a lot of green. She just mentioned she has a lot of green. So things are looking like a bit of a reverse. I never want to overreact to an 830 number, but that's a pretty big bounce. We're now up 1%. You're going to get to this 101.5 on Nvidia. Robinhood broke that $18 level as well. So you never really know these things are going to happen in advance. I don't like taking breakouts on stocks that aren't doing big volume in the pre-market. Obviously Robinhood had earnings. It had a bit of a spread there, and it's still not that liquid just yet, but local breakout through 18. This is another one on watch. It was underwhelming on the report in that it didn't move outside of the range, but if it doesn't move outside of the range, that provides you with a chance that it might break it on the day. So that's broken out 18. We talked about Upstart without actually showing it to you. So Upstart pulled right back into a 32.5, broke out 33. I think it sets it up. You got a wide gap underneath 32.5 here. Either it holds this or it doesn't. If you're looking for continuation on Upstart, I don't think it's that complicated for where you can look for bids at the open. I mean, if you lose this level, what else are you going to do except wait? Back to the desk.
All right, another one moving around. Yeah, Robinhood, we'll keep an eye on that. There's multiple analyst moves on Robinhood today as well. This one, also huge move here, 6+ for LLY, taking out the highs right now. Potential for the next candidate, maybe on the reverse split list that we've had. There's been so many over the past year or so. But yeah, Lilly raising their annual sales forecast. All comes down to the weight loss drug market.
$1 trillion incoming, Brendo. 730 billion.
Yeah.
So we're not that far. All right, guys, they absolutely destroyed this earnings report. So significantly better earnings and revenue. Earnings per share were $3.92. The street was looking for $2.60, so it was a blowout there. Revenue climbed 36% year over year. Net income, they took $3 billion almost in profit home. They raised their full year guidance, hence the move up. And this is really what caught my attention. Mounjaro sales tripled year over year. Zepbound was decent, 1.24 billion in sales. The reason this is important is because we got Novo Nordisk yesterday, and they actually reported worse than expected results. So it looks like it's a stock picker's market again, Brenda.
Just noting, there are some comments coming through right now from some executives, but the earnings call here, guys, not until 10 a.m. So just write that down if you're going to be watching. I mean, it's an $800 stock, but if you're going to be watching Lilly, earnings call at 10 o'clock this morning.
Where is the split? MSTR split. They know what's up. Eli Lilly needs to split. I think maybe they're waiting for 4 digits, like get over 1,000, and then you're going to do a split on Eli Lilly. And I think, Obi and I were kind of speaking to ourselves, not to ourselves, to each other before, kind of like Novo. It's a cheaper stock, but B, a bit of a continuation because of what it did in the reversal. But watching 888, triple eights here on Eli Lilly, it's already taken the 50 period. It's sort of an obvious area of resistance. If it punches through that, it gets pretty gnarly. If it pulls back, there's a lot of room. There's a lot of room for dips today because the previous high was like 840 on the daily chart. But when you look at Novo, because it was such a reversal play, and I'll just use the 15-minute chart here, because it's such a reversal play, they were in the tank, gap down, and then sell off the entire day. It's trying to pull a reversal on Eli Lilly's numbers. So if Lilly breaks out that high, then you've got Novo doing catch-up, and guess what? You've got room to where it was previous their numbers, in the 130, 131 range, if it can take out that high. It also provides you maybe with a 125 support at the open. So if you're watching, like if you're trading Novo, I'm pretty sure you're gonna want to have Eli Lilly up. It's just a matter of preference. I mean, I see pretty good volume, relatively speaking, on Novo, and a 1 cent spread like a regular stock that we would normally trade. Whereas Eli Lilly can be tricky for a day trader when you're used to getting certain types of fills when you put a stop order in there. I liken it to trading in SMCI. Like when it opens up, sometimes after 5-10 minutes, whatever, liquidity comes back in a little bit better. But especially at 9:30, be careful on something like an Eli Lilly. I'm going to prefer, if I trade one, it's more likely to be Novo Nordisk and just try to catch the wave and follow it. But I like these day 2 plays a lot. Upstart is looking pretty solid as well. It's back up over that 33. Never want to sleep on them. We'll get to Palantir is actually on the watch list today, so we'll get to a lot of those in the rundown. But do not sleep on these. And if you're not comfortable trading Eli Lilly, then take a gander at Novo. It does provide you with similar opportunities.
Yeah, no, Eli Lilly gotta watch out for that spread as well. We're talking to Dara a few minutes ago. She's like, 4-point spread on Lilly. That's absolutely wild. But again, pre-market might definitely going to be closing up a little bit out in the open, doing over 10 times the relative volume 5 period here coming up into the open. And just taking a look left here, some of these prior levels potentially come into play. Prior high I'm seeing right there in and around just shy of that 900 mark, 886, 887 right here, this high. And then a little bit of a strong selling reference high right there at 914-ish area. So yeah, let's see if this strength kind of continues. We've bid up over 125 points off of some of these lows on the earnings report. Let's see what the price action entails once we do come off into the open. But yeah, no, Neil's 100% right. There are a lot of other names as well on the board, which could definitely provide just as good, if not better, opportunities on the day. But Eli Lilly, definitely a spicy one and very attractive to those looking for volatility and a bigger range on some of their trades, for sure. You can see that this thing, like, look at this, just this one bar. You just measure this. This is the smallest bar that is traded since that earnings reaction right now. This prior bar, 8 o'clock, the high at 873, the low at 859. So over almost 13 points of range on that candle. So
tiny.
It's got a bit of a range.
You know what didn't move when the market's been going up since that number? I'll give you one guess. Bumble. Bumble. Okay, it's not entirely true. I think I'm being a little bit facetious with that because it went from $4.85 to $5.04, then rejected the $5 level to come back down in. So I think this is going to be I think Bumble might actually be pretty simplistic here today. Like, if it breaks this 5 and can get out above it, I think you're looking at SSR bounce, like just a relief rally, dead cat bounce, whatever the heck you want to call it. It doesn't really matter. It's down 40%. We can come up with adjectives. If it breaks through that, great. If it doesn't, look short off that level and just be willing to play any trend. There's no levels on Bumble. We can't go back and say, hey, go look at the pandemic lows. Go look at the 52-week lows. It doesn't matter. They're all gone. Apparently, as I learned this morning, everybody's on Hinge, apparently. I have no idea of these things. So I'm a happily married man. It is what it is, man. They didn't have this. They didn't have this stuff. Now I'm going to rant because they'll deal with it.
Yeah.
They didn't have any of this stuff. What failed? They didn't have any of this stuff when I was young. Back in the day, in the olden days, you actually used to talk to people, believe it or not. What was interesting is you would go, you would go out to like, maybe you'd go to the park, you'd go to the club, you'd go to the bar, maybe you'd go to the coffee shop, you'd go to church, maybe you'd meet somebody, you'd say what up, you spit a little game, and then, you know, something could happen.
Hey, shawty, what it do?
Hey, shawty, what it do? I mean, maybe not exactly like that, but apparently
along the lines.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But you know what's interesting about that is, even as I just said that, I think what's happening to Bumble is the same thing. Like, first people would go to church or the library, then they would go to like, then it was like, yeah, you might go to like the park. Then it's like coffee shops or a thing. Then clubs became a thing. Now clubs aren't a thing anymore.
Party.
So obviously Bumble's not a thing anymore, and Hinge is a thing. So as far as I'm concerned, at some point maybe Bumble. Like I'm sure they still have they got a user base still. And before the stock gets to zero, I'm certain, you know, to a certain degree, somebody's probably going to want to pick something up of this. So there could always be a deal for them in the future that saves them. But once you fall out of favor, like how many of these types of businesses usually rebound when they fall out of favor? It tends not to happen. Like these kind of fads, they don't tend to recover. Like just society shifts, and I don't wish any ill to Bumble at all, but I wouldn't be surprised if before they go bankrupt one day or whatever it might be, or before they roll up the string, someone decides to go pick them up for pennies on the dollar. But anyways, just looking to short some pops on this one. Well, say Fabian Meyer just said Match Group. I mean, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Like the thing about when you have like antitrust issues and all that kind of stuff, I don't think this is the industry the FTC would be concerned about if you had big businesses trying to combine. You know, they got bigger fish to fry, the FTC. I don't think they'd care if Match Group wanted them, and I'm sure Match Group wouldn't care until these guys are much lower.
Yeah, you never know. Maybe again, this thing's all-time lows.
Right.
It's trading at all-time lows below the $5 level. We know $5 can be an interesting area when it comes to stonks. And trading below $5 right now. So that $5 is definitely a little interesting. Something to note is expanding RVOL as we make further lows. And look at that expansion as well. This is a 5-period, right? So sure, this thing doesn't necessarily do that much relative volume in the pre-market, but this indication is just like, okay, well, we are kind of increasing volume as we break back down below that $5 and come closer into the open with only about about just over 30 40 minutes left until the opening bell. But yeah, take a look at this chart on the higher time frame. You can see it's been sold off since inception, since IPO. Talk about a swing short, man. We were talking about swing shorts yesterday. It's definitely one of those tickers that is doing well on that kind of idea there.
Rahim Alani going to join us here in a few minutes to discuss the Japan carry trade a little bit. We'll get a wrap up of how that could affect or has affected the Canadian side of things. Just real quick, Palantir made a new high there above 27.20. Coming back in, there's a headline on the AI side of things for Palantir. They're going to offer their artificial intelligent platform essentially on Microsoft's cloud products right across the board. So up nicely here, guys, after a pretty negative day when all was said and done. I mean, we had a nice start yesterday, but turned pretty red by the end of things.
So we were just talking about Intel, and you know what? Let me just, because we were mentioning Intel, Obi and I just now, I'm going to finish this thought, and then we're going to get into Palantir. So both of us were saying we didn't understand. Like, I didn't see a specific story to cause this bounce in the pre-market, and I wasn't here when it happened. This was at 6:30 in the morning. You guys all know Intel's been a short for several days now. Heck, it's been a short for several weeks now. And now the shareholders are suing Pat and I think the COO and the company in general over the last results. saying they're withholding some information, but it is what it is. It's right back in and just held that 19 bottom. So the only thing that has me a little bit tepid and maybe wanting to be cautious with this whole short the pop every single day where you can find it, which has been good. Let me show you a 15-minute chart up there. So since earnings, essentially it's been an easy enough short, like just get short when it was breaking down the first day, short into the previous high it gave you, and then the next day it was short off of that high, and then yesterday it was short off of the lower high that it put in. So basically every resistance or previous support level has been good to go. And so there was support at 1950, that held in the afternoon, and that would have been the spot. Actually, that should be the spot here today, that 19.5. But on to Palantir, we love these day two plays, as Obi already said. This was one that was, this day two play was missed yesterday. And I know why I didn't want it, as opposed to, like, we were looking at some of the day one plays, obviously, with Upstart and Shopify yesterday, and then missed this breakout. Part of it was news came out with the Wendy's deal, and it did absolutely nothing in the pre-market, which usually I'm thinking if the stock is bullish and there's any kind of potential positive news story, it's going to do something in the pre, and it did nothing and just sat there sideways. And then when it came to the open, basically decided it wanted to blow out from this 27 level. But the rejection was huge up here at 28 even. So I think this is not terribly complicated what Palantir needs to do. I think you've got potential 26 support. Hold on to this 27 above. Because where we fell down to, you gave the whole move up and then fell in right into 26.80. You just went sideways all afternoon before dumping right into the close. A lot of things fell into the close. We all saw that. But that consolidation area, that needs to hold the morning. If that can hold the morning, great. Palantir, another run up to 28. And there's no chance I would see that kind of a move. If I'm long Palantir, let's just presume that it holds the open here and we get a bounce play. If it gets to 28, that's an out. No questions asked. Out in front of 28, and then let's see if it can hold out above that price. Maybe even do a consolidation breakout. But until then, I think you got to play an inside range. I feel like Upstart looks a little stronger. Upstart looks stronger than Palantir. I almost feel Shopify looks, I feel like Shopify looks a little stronger than Palantir if we're looking for those day two plays there, Obi. So I just want to be careful with them. Like, both of those are above or holding support above the gap levels as opposed to right back into them.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like that range idea on Palantir. We talk about how, I was talking about how I missed that reversion, playbook reversion at in the middle of the day on Palantir. Look at that, nice little pulls in quite heavily, breaks below its earnings anchored from day one. But yeah, no, take a look at this, Neil. A little bit of a range action going on. Defined by some of these levels here. So let's see. It does kind of violate a little bit. We've only got a couple of tests of the lower end of the range, not really too much of the highs there. Earnings reaction high prior day. Again, take a look at this flat consolidation that happens for over an hour, right? Over an hour and a half. We kind of talked about this yesterday. Pretty much flat underneath this 2830s resistance. And take a look at this. The ping action that happened when price rips up off of the earnings reaction, right there, it gets sold off into the open, holds this lower end at 26s, bids all the way back up to 28 and some change. And take a look at that. Cannot get through even after we've held earnings anchored. We've probably held VWAP as well on the day. We're holding moving averages, and we're holding a tight range between 28 and 28.30. 30 pennies of a range consolidating for over an hour and a half. You've gone sideways. You've tried to go up. It only had one more way to go, and that way it did, all the way back down into the lower end of the range. So absolutely crazy. Palantir, day two, day three today, actually.
Absolutely. And let's get on up to the desk. We've got one of our favorite guest who always makes me feel like I'm underdressed. Let's go over to see at the desk with Raheem.
Yeah, a lot to discuss, a lot to understand here. Raheem's back to give us a high-level look on, I mean, everyone's still talking about this Japan carry trade, but let's look at it from a standpoint of, okay, what happens now? Like, we get the principle of it. We get the understanding of people were borrowing money at zero. essentially for years and years and years out of Japan and then investing it all over the world. From a high level, I mean, I was reading a story a couple of days ago that suggested it could be as much as 20, 25 trillion that needs to be unwound when it comes to what people were doing with this. How does this affect Canada, first of all, and then we'll get into some individual names here?
Yeah, so it's an interesting question, and thanks to Neil for the shout out as favorite guests. I made it. It's only 8:45 in the morning, and I've already got some great news today. I appreciate that, Neil. Thank you. No, it is an interesting trade that's transpired, and thankfully the markets were closed here on Monday in Canada, so we didn't get smacked in the face as bad as we would have probably. But as we always say, when the U.S. catches a cold, we get, or they have the flu, we get the cold, or whatever you want to call it, we sneeze. So there's always a little bit of a laggard effect, not as grand as the U.S. effect is, because if you are borrowing in Japan, the chance of you taking all of that money investing in Canada is not as grandiose as it is on the U.S. side. So, yeah, I'm not getting into the macroeconomics of it, but basically, there's a lot of money that's been invested into different parts of the world, into different markets, into different instruments, whether it's bonds, debt instruments, and particularly equities. Now you have to unwind all these trades, you have to make all these repayments back. The thought process is a lot of this money has to flow through the equity capital markets. You got to get out of these positions where you might have been gaining X%, or might be waiting, with your calls and puts that you've got against your equity as well. You need to now unwind that trade on the equity side to then repay the cheaper money that you borrowed out of Japan. So there could be some fairly significant follow-on consequences. But again, I think Canada is a little bit more insulated by the fact that we don't have as much of that quantum of economics coming into this market.
Right. You pay attention, obviously, to the mining sector and the energy sector on a smaller scale. We saw gold barely kind of shrug it off, say, ho-hum, onward. Was there any kind of significant movement? And you mentioned the fact that we had a holiday here on Monday. I was actually expecting a little bit more reaction Tuesday, but it didn't seem to come.
Likewise, I think, same thing. I think we were kind of expecting, will we get hit with the same quantum or same sort of delta of what the U.S. had? And I think what we saw on Tuesday was the bounce that everyone was expecting, and people had the positive sort of momentum. Tuesday morning pre-market, the futures look great, and that sort of has continued this week. That people bought off those lows, and we are a very instantaneous economy, more so than we were 10 years ago, right? Yeah. Things move a lot quicker than they used to. So I think Canada was, again, shielded by the fact that we didn't have that immediate level impact on the Monday. I think Monday would have been a bad day had we been open.
It feels like there's this lingering worry, though, in the background now. Every time there's a downtick in the overall market now, everyone kind of sits back and says, oh, here we go again. Yeah. Whether or not we'll see follow through or not to what happened on Monday remains to be seen. Just real quick, here's this is a weekly chart of the yen. It's been straight higher ever since that bottom it made on Monday down around 140 versus the US dollar. So the bounce is well underway here and significant volume following this in.
Just as a quick commentary, a bunch of the Asian currencies, Reuters was talking about this morning, the Asian currencies are going to see some strong pops as well against the fact that the US might be making some decisions coming up. The Indian rupee is at its lowest level ever. So look at some of those currencies if you are a currency person, some of those equity markets that benefit off the currency.
Yeah, it might have been a buying opportunity when all is said and done at the lows down there. A few individual equity names that have put in decent moves over the past couple of days on the Canadian side of things. We were touching on Shopify in the pre-market yesterday, dual listed. Primary listing here in Toronto, also trades down in New York for all our US friends. Up here again this morning. This is the NYSE listing, but 63 holding here for Shop.
Yeah, up 18% on the day. Traded in Canada, traded 14 million shares just in those 2 days. After, again, everyone was moving back into tech names. This is one of our biggest tech names here in Canada, but also on the back of very good news for their quarter. They're now into 157 countries. They're sitting on $4.1 billion in cash, $900 million in marketable securities. So just over $5 billion in cash and securities on their balance sheet. The numbers were fantastic. Gross profits were up, hitting just about $1 billion. So doing extremely well.
And even pointed to further AI demand that I don't even think they were expecting on the forecast. Suncor. Another one, we were touching on energy here. Suncor up huge yesterday.
Yeah, Suncor had a good trade yesterday. The company they've just announced their results. They're at 94, 95% utilization.
They have put money back into the market. Like I've always say, if you love yourself, you buy yourself. So they've put $750 million into dividends. They've put $800 million into share buybacks. So just over $1.5 billion has gone back to shareholders. They're doing $3.4 billion from operations in the last quarter, 770 barrels per day, 771 billion barrels. So doing a lot of good things.
A company like that, we saw oil was up 2% yesterday. It's higher again today on this Middle East concerns ongoing. Company like that, very heavily tied to the price of the commodity.
Oh yeah, like as a producer on that size, again, if you're doing 3.4 billion just in oil sales from operations. Another thing just to note is that they finished all their maintenance work, so they will be getting everything back on stream, back online. So it is tied very heavily to the price of oil, but that's one of our bigger names here. And if you like the price of oil, that's a good name to carry you.
Other end of the spectrum, we touched on it very briefly pre-market yesterday. Some of the weed names putting in decent quarters. Don't look now.
Yeah, is it coming back? Tough to say, but Aurora did put out their numbers, their Q1 25 numbers. Very strong medical sales. People are doing bigger baskets off of insurance. Australia did a big number for them as well. The local pot shop sales, that's sort of dipped for them, but that's to be expected. But revenue is swinging nicely. They are getting back into profitability. So their numbers are looking very good. The stock's rebounded nicely.
Yeah, ACB, what was it, 675, 680, I guess, the high yesterday, coming back in a little bit today.
Yeah.
Tilray, you and I were talking about that, not really doing much on the back of that yesterday. I am out of here in, what is it, a week and a half, I guess, about 6 days. We'll be flying on Air Canada, not a Boeing plane, but on Air Canada. But you wanted to mention AC here going into the holiday season.
Yeah, just we're in the holiday season. You've got the whole, everybody's suing all the airlines. They're all suing Microsoft. Everyone's suing everybody. Who knows what's going to happen? But Air Canada had a bit of a move. Just stock-wise, it did move a little bit. Utilization rates are up. They are trying to figure in right size on the cost side. So numbers were slightly down, or significantly down on the EBITDA side and the net income side. But it is Air Canada, and we have 3 choices here in Canada. So that's a name that's going to move just based on the fact that holiday people like yourselves are getting on planes, and going to places.
Yeah, and I was noting the other day, it's already a packed flight. So I mean, like demand is still insane.
It's still there.
Everyone is flying, but they still can't make money. Great. Rahim Alani, Managing Director of OCI Groups here in Toronto. Good to see you.
Likewise.
Thank you very much there, Rahim.
Thank you.
I absolutely love how nonchalantly Brennan said not a Boeing plane. Because like the fact that that's even a thing right now, where when you're booking a flight, I wonder what the make of the aircraft is. Like usually you care about maybe the airline. Is there going to be free Wi-Fi on the flight? Like, is there going to be a meal? Do I have to pay for my baggage? No. Is it a Boeing airplane? Like that's what things have come to right now. Like give me a break.
Yeah, you don't want
a Boeing
doors flying off.
What's going on
wheels
here?
flying off.
Using dish soap to clean engines and
questionable use of materials in the build.
And look at this.
Yeah.
Okay, let's look at this daily chart of Boeing because why not? Like obviously, things haven't been going well for Boeing. Look at how clean this is technically, and I don't mean for a long. Support, resistance, once, twice, thrice, the exact same channel that was support has turned to an absolute brick wall, and look what happened when we tested it. You tested that brick wall and you went right to the lows. That's the definition of a weak-looking stock. The good news is it managed to bounce off 160 for now. But I don't think I have to tell you, if we lose $160, you got a flat bottom break on Boeing. I wasn't even looking at this until Brennan's offhand comment about Boeing, a Boeing plane, but that does look rather gnarly if we were to lose $160. It could happen. I don't see a catalyst for it. I don't think Brennan trash talking it's going to do anything to the stock in the pre-market, but that's got to be put on the radar. A bit of a bounce happening here in the market after, and I want to make sure everyone observes this because we've been talking about that level on NVIDIA. We went right up into the 102. These bodies are 101.5. on a 3-minute, and then you've got like some wicks up here to 101.80. So NVIDIA right now holding over 100, but finding resistance that same spot it did in the afternoon. That's the zone I think to work with off the open. If it breaks out 102, I think you got to be very patient because that's a pretty large move without any massive levels until you get to 7 and 8. I think, and you could maybe make a solid argument for 103, half 104 being a spot here on NVIDIA. So lots happening. The market is holding on to these gains after we got that jobs data, or sorry, that unemployment data. And you got to keep your ear to the ground, certainly for news. I'm not necessarily going to trade any Boeing here today. I'm going to keep it to the names that we've been mentioning. NVIDIA, I see Bumble can't still go up. Upstart's still looking pretty good over that 33. As well. But yeah, a lot to cover here. I see CD Roofing in the chat. Tesla question mark. Is Tesla on the move here? Not really. But I don't mind. Anytime someone puts a symbol in, like you put Tesla in the pre-market, sometimes I think something's happening there. But very similar chart to a lot of the things we've seen on Tesla. The difference being this got through the afternoon support initially, resistance I should say, and held up at 195. There is a potential for some nice consolidation breakouts here on some of the names that are trying to put in significant bottoms. The issue I have with Tesla is going to be this 200 level and the 200 period moving average. I think that's going to be some trouble chewing through it. And for Casro, you've only got 2 more days for your 174 call there in Tesla. It was a call. I'm not talking about calls, but not options. But the call was made last week by one of our viewers that Tesla was going to get from here all the way down to here. Still a couple of days for it to happen. I'm not cheering for it in that sense, but at the end of the day, we care about price action. I have the same line of resistance that I feel like if we get to it, Tesla, I wasn't willing to do anything but take a breakout on. I think this should be a short. We're looking mostly chips on the shorts in the back end. But if Tesla sees 200, I think it has trouble up here. And if we get a breakout at 95, I think that trade's going to end up getting put on at some point in the afternoon. It has to break 95 first, though.
Yeah, no, another ticker that I'm kind of watching as well, interesting action here is Apple. Apple on the hourly, kind of we reiterate this kind of this channel, this trend that's been that happened. We broke through it with expanding volume right here, and we came right back into it. And take a look at that little bit of a hold of prior horizontal supports, as well as some of this trend that I still have on. We gap below it. Post earnings there, we saw what happened on Monday, gap below that, and now we're kind of using that area as a bit of resistance. Not only that, some more confluence with an anchored VWAP, anchored to earnings on last Thursday there. We kind of hold that as a bit of resistance, but something more important to me, support and resistance, look at these highs. Monday high, we kind of spoke of this yesterday. 213.64s broke prior day's highs or Monday's highs yesterday just by a few pennies. So this high was 50. This high is 64. So only about a 14 penny pop as we make higher lows into some of these levels here. So into that flat. So shout out to Sharif, potential flat top breakout to kind of recover into those day one earnings range right here. Should be interesting. I'm watching this 213.60 on Apple as well today. Nice little build up. Let's see what happens. We got a decent we got a jobs number that I guess got bid up on 18,000 all the way up to 18.2s on the DAC. Let's see if some of that buying will continue off into the open there.
All right, let's get into everything else we need to know here. Sharif's going to lead it off with a look at the market.
52.27 was a bad afternoon yesterday as we sold off and basically erased all of the yesterday's gains. But we were able to find that support level at 5,200. We couldn't break it on a closing basis, nor could we break 5,300 overnight. 52.76 is the overnight high. Let's use 5,200 as support and 5,300 as resistance.
If you haven't done so yet, go down to the description of this video and look for the link for the watch list. Enter your email address, and you get that sent to you every single day for absolutely nothing. All you need is an email address, and then you can have the watch list for free in the description right now. Let's go to Palantir to start things off. I was looking at Robinhood here. It was moving around again, but let's touch on Palantir here real quick. Top of the watch list today on this AI note. They're going to make their AI products available across Microsoft's cloud platform in general. So if you zoom out here a little bit, as we mentioned early, nice start to the day yesterday, but lunch-ish kicked off some pretty heavy selling.
Yeah, Brendo, this is really interesting here. It's the first time that we're actually using AI systems developed by Palantir for classified information. So there's going to be classified things over here on the cloud, Microsoft specifically. So they're going to deploy their full suite of products that includes Foundry, Gotham, Apollo, and AIP. All of them will be on Microsoft Azure in classified environments. The potential applications include obviously logistics management, contracting, and obviously military uses.
Yeah, most of their AI stuff in that world. 27.25, guys. Nice bounce so far here for PLTR.
Yeah, I like that look on Palantir. We talk about that day one, day two move as well, and you can see we kind of pointed out a bit of a range here that was tested. Again, very interesting area here, just in and around that 28. Earnings reaction high, price rips up into that area, sells off aggressively. And yesterday, again, we talk about that over an hour of a flat consolidation right into that area. So maybe maybe a held offer there, some sellers there. Let's see if we can get past that area of interest here, but a little bit of a range going on. Palantir, day three, now with a little bit of a catalyst. See if we can kind of break that range, Neil.
Man, if it gets over that 28 area, I've got to take a shot. Like, it's just given how big the pullback was, like, it gave the whole move back. If it can get back to the same resistance zone it sold off from and choose through it, got to look long at that point. I don't want to say no questions asked, because when you get to that level, maybe you see something when it gets there that's ridiculous. And you're like, oh my goodness, it broke through, and then at 50, there's 10 million shares on the offer. Let's back off a little bit. I don't know, but to me, if you get through a consolidation like this on a play like that, I'd want to be looking for a long. On the daily chart, you have to remember, on the daily chart, that could give you free reign to get into 29 as well. It's not. I just don't think it looks necessarily as good as some of the other day two plays. Which is fair. And if that's the case, maybe you wait for a pullback into where the consolidation was before the drop into the close. That's the other way to go about looking at this. So that's here, and I'll call it whatever. You have some wicks on the chart. So it's just underneath the 27 level in about 26.60. So if it can hold on to that range, which is oddly enough the pre-market support, then I think you can be long into that 28. And if we lose this, all bets are off if you lose that 26 half zone there on Palantir. But I do believe you never want to ignore these day two, day three plays. And in that vein, just a couple to look at. Upstart, super strong breakout play. I mean, if we see back into that target zone, forget about it. Lots of bad things have happened to Upstart. But here, held afternoon high-low support, 32.5. That gives you a nice jump-off zone for today. It's breaking out, and to me, holding that 32.5 is also the prior high in the daily. There's a lot to like about Upstart, and then Shopify is the other one. I'm just going to lump these all together, I think, is probably a good way to go. Shopify, still a little bit of room to get to that resistance up at $69, $70. So with that, again, it's another one holding the higher low. Pretty clean here. 63 can hold. There's some support. It was like 61.5 to 62 was a previous high. If you can hold on to this, play into that previous high, these are all very similar. The difference, I think, between Palantir, Shopify, and Upstart was just the amount of strength. Shopify and Upstart blew through that last line of support or resistance to make a bigger move. Palantir stalled out at that $28 level. That's the difference. But they all have some potential here. Clear support where I think you can just easily draw a line. If Shopify is not above 63, I don't want to fight it. If Upstart isn't above 33 or 32 half, that area, then I don't want to fight that either. But as long as they are, looking for longs.
Robinhood did pop up here on, I was trying to see if there's anything going on as far as comments are concerned, but right back down to 1830, 1825 right now. CEO Vlad Tanov saying 24-hour market trading, 30 billion? Okay, that seems high, but I believe him. Crypto company benefiting from resurgence in crypto, resurgence in some of the meme stocks as well this quarter.
Yeah, this was a really good earnings report, guys. They beat on both revenue and EPS. Net revenue reached about $682 million, so approaching that $1 billion mark. The net deposits, this was interesting, $13.2 billion they've got right now as total deposits. That increased about 32% on the month. Options trading revenue surge, crypto continued to do well, still showing year-over-year growth, and net interest revenue, the amount of money that they make on borrowed margin money, Brendo, they're continuing to do very well on that.
Yeah, ARK was in there as well, buying up ahead of earnings. Robinhood as well. So nice pop here today for Hood, guys.
Continuation we're seeing here. Again, something interesting to note. I haven't really been following this name prior to today, but take a look at this relative volume and yeah, of course, a little bit more volume that happened on Monday on that dip. And it just got bought up, and we hold those levels. Earnings reaction comes down into 16, gets bid right back up, and now we're pushing above that earnings reaction high, just above that 18. We just broke that out in the prior 30-minute candle at 8:30 right there. And yeah, this name's been selling off quite a bit for the most of July, end of July right there, mid to end of July. We attempt to push that 25 level, and we've been breaking some of these supports back to back. And we've been trending down all the way into a low of 1398 that we saw on Monday. Now we're getting a little bit of a reversion back up. 1825 is the trading price right now. Let's take a look at a 3-hour here and see what we got in store for potential places of resistance. Right here, the first level that kind of pops up. Bit of confluence with this prior earnings area as well, 19. So only about a point away, only about 75 pennies away from that 1968. Seems like that prior earnings reaction high. We got a lot of levels here as well, 20, 21. But yeah, let's see. Good earnings there. They beat on EPS and they beat on revenue. Let's see if some of that bid shows up once again. The market tailwind is definitely there as of right now, with the ES and the NQ bidding up off of a good reaction, or a bullish reaction to jobs numbers this morning. Let's see if we can get a little bit of a continuation of a bigger picture trend. You guys can see on the weekly, we've broken out of this sideways consolidation on Robinhood. So yeah, we didn't do so great off of the IPO. We sold off for multiple months. And then look at this sideways consolidation for many, many moons over a couple of years here. So this is a weekly chart, and I got 96 bars, and I'm okay. So a little bit more than that, almost 106 bars right there, and we've broken out of that range. We attempt to push back in, and now we're catching a little bit of a bid. Let's see bigger picture if this continues. Earnings day one today. Let's see if some of that sentiment in that bid comes in.
If it's above the high, let it fly. If it breaks the low, let it go.
Bars.
I think that's pretty simple. That's not as good as your 97 bars, but that's all I got for Robinhood. And I think it's not quite that simple because it already broke 18. So that's 18. 18 broke. Go right to the last time it was at that level. Check the range. Resistance at 18.5. So I think if it takes out the top and wants to go, it's all good as long as we're above $18. Looking for longs above 18 and a continuation above 18.5. The spread is, for a stock doing over 1 million shares, the spread is a little, 4 or 5 cents at times here. You want this one to open up. I wouldn't take any break before 9:30. We'll check out the imbalances when they pop on through as well, because I suspect you might see a few of them this morning.
Let's go on to crypto here. We'll get through a couple of these pretty quick. Long story short, Bitcoin back to the upside today. MicroStrategy 10 for 1 130 bucks was the bottom, or 128, I guess, was the bottom. We're trying to take out session highs right now for MSTR.
Yeah, I think baby is pumped. All right, guys, net inflows. All right, yesterday on the spot ETFs, we had about $50 million of net inflows. IBIT, BlackRock saw the most amount of net inflows. GBTC, sadly, that trust continued to see the most amount of net outflows. There was a difference between the amount of net inflows in Bitcoin versus Ethereum. Ethereum continued to suffer net outflows, about $322 million. Or sorry, excuse me, about $24 million went out yesterday for Ethereum trusts.
Yeah, this is what I was noting early on this morning. Conveniently, yesterday, Michael, I don't know why, I mean, it's convenient, but he now owns nearly $1 billion in Bitcoin himself outside of MSTR.
Wow.
So MSTR, I know you're going to go over MSTR. I'll talk a little Coinbase maybe after.
Yeah, sure. So MSTR, MicroStrategy, finally coming into some decent prices here with that 10-to-1 split that happened overnight. So trading at 133.45 as of right now. So let's take a look at some of these split adjusted levels on the chart. Go to a higher time frame here. Go to the hourly. Let's start off with the hourly again. If you guys were here yesterday, I was asked, what time frame do you like to use? The answer was all of them. And yeah, you got to know where different time frame participants are kind of participating and what they're seeing, and yeah, just involvement for higher time frame participants as a tailwind for just a small little day trader like me, just a little guppy in a pond. Definitely helps with that perspective. So okay, so just seeing that prior highs right there, 141.60s. Let's see. I'm curious to know how this thing will trade. We know that we had earnings just last Friday, so we're fresh off of those earnings. Dip got bought, not just on MSTR, on a lot of things on Monday, but taking a look at a higher frame here. Let's go to the daily real quick. We've been in a sideways consolidation between 100 and 180 on MSTR. So bit of a chopping action there on a multi-month frame for MSTR. Again, split doesn't necessarily mean too much.
Nope.
The price is a little different, but it's not even doing as much relative volume. You can see in the pre-market. Look at that, 0.3, 0.4. So we'll see. It is a little bit easier, I would say, to trade. Less volatility, less range. 133 coming down from 1,300, right? So should be interesting. Finally, this ticker becomes a little available for us. But right away, what I'm seeing, something screaming at me off of this chart is yesterday. Look at this shelf. We sell off. We attempt to push over and over again with a little bit of a bid and a bit of a flat top happening here at 131s. Look at this pre-market consolidation. 132 is very, very tight here. Let's see what happens in and around that 131 and 132 today on MSTR.
Yeah, and as long as Bitcoin holds this upward trend, maybe back into the 60 or 59 half level that we can see here, I think Coinbase has a chance to fly. That's just what I happen to be looking at. 3-day resistance at 200, simple. The first 2 days, you had support right at 183, higher low support. That was broken in the right late in the afternoon. It's now the bottom here in the pre-market. So above this 183, it's like a dip and rip story, and then a possible trend up into $200 on Coinbase. So I think keep it kind of simple. I've never traded MSTR. I feel like if you're trading that, you could also just maybe look directly at Bitcoin or one of the ETFs for a bit of a proxy. Whereas Coinbase can go sometimes when Bitcoin's not doing much as long as the trend is up. I think that makes it a little bit different. Back to the desk for a little Eli.
Yeah, nice move, Eli, up better part of 13% at the highs here, coming off an absolute blowout quarter for them on the back of, weight loss drugs.
Yeah, Novo Nordisk reporting yesterday, and they sold off aggressively. Eli Lilly, obviously a competitor, reporting today and doing fantastic, showing that it's a stock picker's market at the moment. Here it is, earnings per share, $3.92. The street was looking for $2.60. Revenue climbed 36%. They took about $3 billion home on the quarter in profit. They also raised their full year forecast. And Mangiarino sales tripled, Brendo, year over year to about $3.1 billion in sales.
Yeah, we're saying maybe the next candidate on the possible stock split list here, LLY.
Entirely possible. Because Eli, your losses are Eli Lilly's gains, and that's how it works. But what the cautionary tale, I mean, at least I would say here for Eli Lilly is going to be, you're right, you've already bounced significantly, and you're right into like 888 is resistance on the daily chart. So if you're not blowing through that, you're very close to a resistance level. I don't think I would want to be chasing this. If there's a dip, $840, like in there's, it's extreme, I know, but it's an $800 stock. If an $87 stock went down to $84 for a dip, nobody would consider that to be very extreme. I think we'd all be able to sort of respect that and be okay with it. I like Novo a little bit better for a potential trade here today, because if Eli Lilly breaks out that high, Novo could just be very cleanly taking something like a 127. So that's where my eyeballs might be. For like a secondary play, can Novo take out something like a 127 as Eli Lilly is trying to go? That's the way I want to look at things here today, just as a lagging play off Eli Lilly. Only 5 minutes to go, so let's breeze through these so we can talk chips.
Yeah, so
Back to the upside here, ever so slightly, 1925 coming into play right now. We are still positive on the session, but this is another one. Tried to rally yesterday out of the gate and then just absolutely tanked all afternoon, right into the close. Held 19 this morning here, but new lawsuit from shareholders.
Yeah, it's a tough look. Mizuho also downgrading this one today, but the thing I want to talk about right now is this lawsuit. So the lawsuit alleges that Intel intentionally concealed significant issues with their company, specifically the foundry business, ahead of earnings. The deceit is set to have taken place from January 25th to August 1st of this year. They are naming the CEO, Pat Gelsinger, as well as the CFO personally in this lawsuit. So we'll have to see how this all turns out, Brendo, but tough look right now.
Yeah, it's been a tough couple of weeks here, guys, for Intel.
Intel's been quite the wild one, selling off aggressively even prior to earnings here. You look at the weekly, we've been selling off going into earnings as well, and then a nice little flush even further, gap down below these 25s off of their earnings, and we continue to sell off day after day. Something interesting in the pre-market, bit of a pop. We talked about this a little earlier. No real idea of what may have caused this little push. As of right now, 19 to 20s, about a point in the pre-market, and then now we're just having a tight little consolidation above some of these levels. So let's see if some of that continuation happens on Intel to the downside today. Pretty much been selling off, closing red on the daily, back-to-back days. So I don't know. Do we sell the open, buy the close, Neil?
No, I don't think it's that simple with Intel. I think yesterday it was very easy. It was short off of the previous day's highs, but until we get to, I don't have previous day's highs to work from. So now it's going to be the 19.5 in the afternoon range. If it gets to 19.5, I'm looking short on Intel. So that's this level here. That was a level we were playing in the afternoon yesterday. I'm not going to do anything with 19. We'll see what happens later. When talking about chips, I think we got to go right back over to the well with NVIDIA. NVIDIA wants to break this 102 at the open. So this is going to be really quick. I think we're going to get a real test of the afternoon resistance zone. We're already above it. Any breakout above has so much room into 108. My first look is going to be a failure through that price, and if it fails through that price, I want to be short. The 98 level is support level I like there on NVIDIA. So with 2 minutes to go, I'm pretty sure we just got imbalance data coming through, so I want to get that to you guys. Palantir, small buy, Lumens, the sell, NVIDIA, 300,000 to the buy side, so not huge, but a decent size buy there on NVIDIA. That's why it seems to be chewing through that 102 level. Just a couple of things to refresh. We like some day two plays. Upstart holding afternoon support, bounce off 32.5. I'm looking long back into those highs, and a very similar thing I know with Shopify as well. Bumble, BMBL, they are looking pretty nasty. Another test of $5. If it breaks out over 5, I think it's got plenty of room to go on an SSR bounce, but that's an over-under for me. If it's underneath $5, I want to be looking shorts into the lows. It's I don't know the opposite of blue sky setups for the downside, but you're at fresh lows here on Bumble after earnings. Just nothing good about the outlook for this company. So that's what we want to be looking at. Let's go back to Sharif before we get this open.
All right, guys, we are talking about earnings all week. Today, specifically, we'll talk about analyzing price action before that earnings release. So if you're into that kind of thing, check that out with Adair and I on How to Trade at 11.
Absolutely. GSIM, check out my Twitter. Every single day, I lay every single one of my plays out for you guys. And then we talk about them here in depth. The thing is, you got to have an entry, you got to have an exit, you have to have an idea where you want to get into it. That's where we have those day 2 plays. I mentioned Bumble in there as well, and then NVIDIA at that key 108 level. Those are the stocks that I'm focused on right away at the open. If you see me in Novavax, there's a chance there could be a decent SSR bounce play there, but it's not quite at the levels, and we'll get into that one a little bit at the open. As I said, there was a bit of an imbalance on NVIDIA and Lumen at the start, and Palantir, but let's get this party started in 2 and 1. Adara, ring it. Ooh, that was a hearty little ring. So immediately, NVIDIA tests up and down off that 102 level. So it's an instant rejection of that 102, but it's still relatively early. I don't want to get too out in front of myself here. Just jumping into an immediate short. Nothing happening on Tesla. Upstart is not at our level just yet, down at that 33. So I'm not into anything. I see you went right into NVIDIA. I want this 102 level a little bit tighter.
Yeah, that 102 was a nice spot right there, Neil. But we kind of talk about that 102 being a little bit of a resistance area. Let's see if that kind of comes in with this market pulling in off of the open there.
It is right now.
Let's see. I mean, it could definitely pop right back up. So I do want to stay a little bit nimble on this one there if it does that. But that 102, some of those pre-market levels, some of those prior levels, okay, got stopped out. That's fine. Let's see what we have in store today. Some of these other names that I'm watching, Datadog, Shopify, Bumble as well. Bumble pushing up a little bit of a bounce into its earnings anchored right there. And NVIDIA pushing right back into that 101. So, oh boy, maybe
big drop on
should probably get back into this one, and we shall reassess if it comes back into that 102.
A big drop in Palantir there. Now NVIDIA, I didn't want to chase it too far, but I just went down to the 101.5. Bumble is really moving up, and Palantir, here I'm going to show Palantir over here because I want to stay focused on NVIDIA. Palantir just did a big drop down into 26.8 and held 27, which ends up being VWAP. So I have Palantir as another one of those plays on the radar. Upstart, we thought there could be a little something, but it doesn't hold 33 even. It's still got afternoon support levels to deal with. So I need this bouncing off these levels. If we can bounce off of 32.6, show a bit of a bid, that's where I want to play that long. There comes NVIDIA back into that 101.5. I was tight to 102 off the open. Now I'm playing off 101.5, I should say, out here on NVIDIA. I think it's going to make sense. If it bounces again off 101, going to want to scalp something else. The buyers just... You see that, Obi? Just now. It just got to 101, filled you in front of 101, and snapped right back to 101.5. So for now, you're holding underneath 102 on NVIDIA, but that was a very quick move. I use a 3-minute chart there, so I know you're not going to necessarily see this. If you had like a tick chart, you'd probably see how quick that was, but it was noticeable on that level too. Palantir trying to hold VWAP. Bumble failing back underneath $5. Oh boy, Bumble. If it can't hold above 5, I'm looking to get short on Bumble, which was the bad earnings.
Yeah, that $5 mark coming right back in. BNB to the downside, Uber to the downside as well. Palantir just in a sideways range there. FTNT, we saw that was kind of strong as well, still holding its earnings anchored on FTNT. Datadog, I liked Datadog. Or if you look at a higher time frame, bit of a break in trend happening on Datadog, and we did push up about a couple of points there. 117's trading as of right now on DDOG. You have it right here. So yeah, 115's a little bit of a bounce all the way up into 118. So maybe a 3-point bounce on Datadog, but nothing too crazy there. Let me just pull up the chart here so we can kind of see the book. so we can see a little bit of that action for you guys there. Okay, so 117.20s, but NVIDIA coming right back in. You can see that little bit of a selling coming in here. We sold off. Yesterday, NVIDIA sold off quite aggressively, man. 30-minute, if you look at the 30-minute chart, prior bars, we didn't even break a single prior bar, well, until the end, where I was trying to get long off of that 100. We break trend that one time, and then we wick right back in to that 100 area. Below 97s traded in the after hours and the pre-market on NVIDIA. So let's see if that's the bounce. Maybe the 100 bounce that I was looking for, that was it in the pre-market there. I have no idea.
So just if you're, because I know you're in NVIDIA short too, keep an eye on SMCI. SMCI just took out $500 heading to the upside. That's going to be a little bit of cause for concern. I want to make sure if I'm reloading on NVIDIA, it's got to be closer to that 102. If I'm seeing strength, if there's strength in the market and strength in SMCI and you want to short NVIDIA, then I don't want to compromise on the price too much there. So I did chase to the halves and take a $0.50, but I want to see it tighter to that level at 102. There's the bounce on upstart. So now you're holding above 33 again. So support came in where we like it. VWAP's going to be a little bit, I mean, it's early in the day to consider VWAP too much, but the 33 level looking pretty solid, or at least a little bit better than it did before. Let's see if we can get a little bit of upstart. I see buyers already at the $0.50. I was kind of hoping to get a better price. I'm going to sit at the 50 for maybe like a third or something and see if we can get better price into that 33. So upstart, going to jump in, but it's a little bit early. Still no fills close to 102 on NVIDIA to be able to grab that short. And SMCI is still going to the upside, so I still want to respect that one. Palantir holding 27. If this is the day where Palantir is better than upstart, I'll get a little bit of FOMO, but not too much.
Yeah, so a little bit of a pullback off of that 18,250 on the NASDAQ, 18,250, a little bit of interesting action over the past couple of days there in and around that area. Let's see if we can get above or if we stay below here on the DAC. Now, Kyle Burdett in the chat was talking about, I asked, I was like, okay, what are your top ideas on the day? He was talking about Oxy. Oxy definitely had earnings today as well. And Oxy, the opening drive, absolutely nice. Still holding, still attempting to push some fresh highs on Oxy. I was looking at it. Daily chart looked a little, I was like, yeah, the daily chart looks a little bit slippery on this one when it comes to Occidental Petroleum. But we are kind of doing a little bit of a balance off of this 55 since Monday. Breaking earnings reaction high right off of the open there. 57.70s, trading at 58.30s as of right now. Held that anchored, held that VWAP right off of the open, broke through pre-market highs. Oxy's on a bit of a run right now, Neil.
Oh, well, that's a great look on Oxy. You know what else is on a run? Shop is making a break of the highs. So check that, not just the highs, but yesterday in the afternoon, that previous high. So I'm into, Upstart's flat right now. We did get in at 33.50, so we'll see what happens there. Still looking okay on NVIDIA, not overwhelming just yet. Again, hasn't done better than the 50 cents it's went in the money. No big dollar moves or anything like that to the downside in NVIDIA. But Shop's trying to get through here. Still like it out in front of 63. That could be a bit of a play. But now NVIDIA is starting to churn. So this is really starting a turn to the downside on NVIDIA. I tried to add just there. It's about to test that $100 level on NVIDIA. And while that's happening, SMCI took out 500 to the downside. I do need to check on my friend Intel. It's doing the VWAP hold. That could be a bit of a trap, though. VWAP hold on Intel to the downside, but it's not flying around at all here, OB. The volatility seems to be in the other chip names. And I don't want to keep talking about SMCI, not showing it to you guys. SMCI back through $500. I think that's not a good sign for the chips. If you're failing this open, the look was to be short. And I want something else instead of just NVIDIA. Adara, what do you have for us?
Under Armour, this is another earnings day from this morning before the open. UAA up about 17% right now. Nice little volume pop here. They did beat for their earnings per share and sales for the quarter, and their guidance was improved upon their previous guidance provided for fiscal 2025. So nice move up here for UAA with a UAA with a short float of over 11%, guys.
Good move for Under Armour. A lot of earnings plays out there. NVIDIA just cracked 100 half and got down to 100, but Upstart lost that 33 level, so we'll jam out of that one. Oh, I'm on the wrong page. I'm going to throw the fail down on Upstart. So far, it's really just been the NVIDIA story. It just continues to want to flush the downside. I'm trying to pick something up here down around the 01 so we can build into the short underneath the 102 level. Still looking like it's going to be relatively weak. I want to stick to shorting this and maybe add something else. If I can find something else that I like. I looked over at advanced micro devices here. Load. That's basically the same drop. I don't think it's any stronger, any weaker. I don't like it as much. I don't like it less. But I did want to note this. Apple rejected. Apple's very strong. Apple rejected the high as well. So I don't think it's just a chip thing. You have the market trying to come back in, but losing support is Apple. I think we want to stay with some of these shorts in here. Oh, Palantir looks like it's recovering a little bit. Upstart's starting to look a little bit better. I might take a second shot at that. It's held that same support level. I think I just have to have a better price the next time in. Upstart's got a pretty decent spread still. I think you have to wait for it.
100 coming in on I was going to
NVIDIA.
say Intel. 2,000 lots at 100 right now.
Dump it.
So nothing too crazy. Yesterday we saw 8,000 lots almost at that 100 level. Got taken out and then rebid back through. Oh boy, we had traded 15, 20 pennies right below that 100. Let's see if that 100 is going to be a little bit of a chop and churn like it was yesterday. We saw what it was doing into the end of the day yesterday, and we traded lower into the close. And NVIDIA, are you finally going to give up the 100? Things are coming down in terms of these prices here. SMCI kind of coming. They got their split. MSTR got a split. All these $1,000 tickers are coming into some better prices here as well. Not really better, but lower prices. And NVIDIA back below 100 is definitely interesting to me. 99 halves now testing. Oh boy, why don't I have more on this? I know where I want more. I'm just waiting for that price to come in.
Yeah, I know where I wanted more, and I'm still sitting at that level. We wanted more at 101 half. I can cancel those. Not going to get them. Wanted it breaking 101. Didn't get that. Wanted it breaking 101. It's just flying to the downside here. So VWAP's going to sit halves. 100 half or so. Yeah. I think that's going to be the spot. If we actually get anything more, it's going to be there. Intel, as I said, that could be another one for the short. It's breaking out underneath 19. This could just be a VWAP scalp trade on Intel, but it's still looking like it's going to be a short day for these chip names. So let's see if I can't get offers out in front of VWAP here. Bear with me as I get some offers out there on Intel. Just want to be able to short some of those pops and catch a little bit of the party. The other thing that I wanted to go back over to is Palantir. Palantir still looking pretty good. That just bounced off VWAP and held 27. I juxtapose that with, say, Upstart, which does hold, but looking a little bit dicey. Underneath VWAP, kind of holding those levels, but not really running any higher. Palantir, I think, is a more serious challenge to break out those highs, at least for now. So Palantir, Upstart, I haven't looked at Shopify again. Just trying to get back into some more shares in NVIDIA. If it bounces off 100, I think you want to look at that VWAP for a retracement play on NVDA. Didn't mean to rhyme that.
We're kind of bouncing off of this early pre-market consolidation from 4 a.m. all the way to 8-ish. So those highs are in and around 99.70s. So we got down to the 99.70s there and doing a little bit of a bounce. Let's see if that acts as any sort of significance here. We are pulling right back off of VWAP. VWAP I have here at 132s, and we're testing that range or that area as of right now on NVIDIA. 100, a lot of chop, a lot of churn happening here. We talk about how many shares are going through, and you know what? I'm going to bring this size filter into view here, so you can see that the block boys have definitely come to play right here. Look, these are blocks worth of NVIDIA shares just going through that tape, going a little bit faster than it was earlier there, in and around that 100. So definitely a lot of interactions, transactions going on at that 100 mark as we pull right back into some of those pre-market highs right there. So that VWAP test initially getting a little bit of a pullback here, 30-minute extension to the downside, and NVIDIA coming into some of these prior anchors as well. If you throw up anchors to prior earnings and prior events, a lot of them have definitely coalesced in and around this 99 area here. So a lot of interest potentially being shown by some of those anchors there. If you've done some charting on NVIDIA, let's see if it holds. Pre-market consolidation is right in those areas. We saw what it did all day yesterday, opening at the highs, closing literally at the low of day. NVIDIA is being sold off as of yesterday, or was being sold off as of yesterday. Let's see if some of that selling continues into today. That kind of strong selling, Neil, I always ask myself, if somebody's selling all day long, are they done selling?
No. I feel that way all the time about things. If somebody is buying all day long, then you look tomorrow to go long. If somebody's selling all day long, you look tomorrow to go short. Like, look at Intel. You look all week, all month to go short when that happens. I'm just going to point out some relative strength. I know we can keep looking at NVIDIA. I didn't get filled at VWAP. I don't know if you did.
No, I missed that.
No, I didn't get filled at VWAP in there, but we'll hang on to it because I think we're going to retest that 98 support level, and that's the target, would be 98. If 98 breaks, 98 breaks. But I'm looking at Coinbase here holding a higher low. Like, what's actually strong when the market is pulling back in here? This is above VWAP, looking for a potential break. If the market reverses, I want something setting up for a long. Upstart doesn't look that good anymore. Palantir, not necessarily looking as strong as it was before, holding on to VWAP there just ever so barely. So things are looking relatively weak, and SMCI still tanking. SMCI could be another way to get back into this. Potentially looking at them as another chip name if we're going to add something to the short. If we can't get VWAP on one, maybe look VWAP on the other. Intel can't break back above 19. So I'm not getting filled on Intel at VWAP. That's holding underneath 19 right at yesterday's lows. It's a short till it's not. Keep it very, very simple when it comes to these names. You guys let me know if there's something really strong. Is Robinhood doing any good right now? I mean, this is a good question. Saad, why am I looking for relative strength in a volatile, weak market structure? Try to find a needle in a haystack seems difficult. Well, I know the things I want short, they're not setting up to give me fills. So I'm looking for something which is, like, when I'm in a trade and I know where I want to wait, I'm looking for a short to pop on Intel. I'm trying to get more of NVIDIA there. I have Upstart up in case it can hold a 33 level. So I just want to see what the next play is. I can sit here and tell you, hey, NVIDIA is up $2, great. I mean, so what? I want to see what the next opportunity is, and that's where my head's going to be on a swivel. Robinhood looks actually very bad, so this doesn't set up at all. If anything, Robinhood should be a short under $18. That was a good over-under area. Did not break the range on earnings, couldn't hold the break above. Under 18, this feels like it's room down to 16.5 on a bit of an earnings plunge. But that's what I'm always trying to do, like, look for that next opportunity.
Yeah, no, for sure. What is the next trade is definitely on my mind a lot. But as of right now, I'm in a trade. So I'm asking, what is the next decision? And that VWAP potentially coming in for a test. VWAP now sitting at 125, trading at 99 halves right now, catching a little bit of a bid. Again, in and around that same area where you talk about pre-market consolidation highs there for until from 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. right there, and kind of holding underneath prior day's end of day consolidation as well. We saw a little bit of sideways action there. But yeah, we shall see if we can get down to pre-market lows, 97.30s right now. What's going on, Adara?
Yet another earnings name on the move here. This one is Shark Ninja, SN. They're up about 13% right now, market cap of around $10 billion. They beat across the board here for fiscal Q2, so keep an eye on SN getting a bit of a volume increase as we get in your highs of day, guys.
Okay, we're going to get 90. Before we get... I'm still muted for my sneeze. Before we get VWAP, we're going to get 98s for sure on NVIDIA. So if we didn't add to it, okay, I'm going to change the plan of action. If Intel won't break 19, I'm going to short to 19, and if it gets to VWAP, that'll be a separate trade. That was a quick little change. So here is yesterday's close price. Seeing a bit of a bid start to step up. 18.1s on the NASDAQ right now. This is the decision point on NVIDIA. So if it holds this curl and breaks back up, it's an out and back in at VWAP. That's the name of the game here, as this is tanking now on the entire market's losing this 18.1. This is a key spot. The other thing is SMCI, when I look up, is right at the pre-market low. bouncing off the 480 level. So that's exactly the kind of thing that makes it a decision point. The only new position was getting into Intel off of the 19 level, but still flushing down here on NVIDIA, as it's been this kind of a morning so far. Never overreact to 830 numbers. I didn't even realize that when the tree hits the ground, there's actually a sound there. How long have we had that graphic? I swear I've never heard that before.
98's coming in now, man. So you're definitely right on that prediction. Yeah, I gotta plan better on this stuff, man. Like, I gotta have so much more on these trades that I'm like, this is a problem that I'm having right now, is where I have the most amount of shares on my worst trades and the least amount of shares on my good trades, and that is a big issue right now that I'm trying to work on in my trading here. So yeah, exactly. You piece into it off of the 102. We talk about how interesting and key that 102 might have been, and we can't even get through it in the pre-market, and now we're trading 98s, over almost 2 points in the money here with significantly less shares than I would really like. But you know what? We're catching a little bit of a bid in this pre-market low area, so I will be a little bit patient. I do want to continue this potential short, but if we get back to VWAP, I do want to kind of get some more there, some more inventory to take to the downside there. 97.30s is what I'm looking at as pre-market lows. 97.33, where we caught that bid off of that 830 mark right there with the jobs numbers coming in. So let's see if we make a higher low in the opening session. It would have to be above 97.33, or do we break down? But that 18.1 confluence is on the DAC, still chopping around that 81 right now on the 15-minute candle. Let's see if we can get through this 98 level here. I'm looking for a distinctly different tape, but the sellers just keep pounding into the bid. So nothing too distinctly different right here on NVIDIA as of right now. But let's see if we get any. Okay, 3,000 lots. 3,000 lots at the 98. Hello. I have come to play. What's going on, Adara?
We'll go. Oh, go ahead.
This part of the show brought to you by Benzinga Pro. Tired of being late to the trade, always playing catch up in the market, missing out on the big moves because you're too slow to the news? Benzinga Pro is your unfair advantage. Get breaking news alerts up to 30 minutes before everyone else, pinpoint exactly why stocks are moving, and join a thriving community of traders who share their strategies in real time. Ready to see how Benzinga Pro can transform your trading? Visit benzinga.com/pro and get a free 14-day trial.
2 seconds, I looked away at that 98 level. It was right when we were like, oh, shoot, we're going to Adara, we're not going to Adara. 98 broke. I got out on the bounce at 98 on NVIDIA. I'm glad you got the break, I'm assuming. I'm on the offer in front of 98 to try to grab it. I don't know what price you were able to get on any kind of a breakdown at that 98, but certainly it went right down into the 60s, and now it's going to try and snap back up through the 98 level. I want to give this to like a 98.11. I was out on the front side of it when it bounced the first time, and when it broke down, I'm just going to test it back in 98 halves, or 98, maybe like the 10s. I think I actually just put like a 12 order in there. So I'm going to have a relatively tight stop. Intel's still working toward the downside. Maybe it might be a different name. Whether or not Intel decides to follow the chips or do its own thing, it doesn't really matter. But it's slowly grinding down lower. I have 96s. It's in the 80s right now. Yeah, there goes NVIDIA back up through. So I'm just going to quickly get out of that one. I think VWAP might be the better play. We know that's a support level on NVIDIA. So if we can get back up to like the 100s, that's an easy area to look for shorts. I just found something interesting as we're letting that kind of calm down a bit here. Yeah, Beyond Meat, 39% short float, jumped on earnings, gave it all back, and then ran right back into the highs. It's holding it was holding a good bull flag. Now it's holding a weak one. This loses $6. It's done. If this holds $6, potential squeeze. So the only thing I'm in right now is going to be that Intel short. It's working its way back up. I still want to short some pops in that and then go back over to what we thought was a relatively strong one and a Palantir bouncing back into VWAP here. So I'd like some day two plays. Palantir over 27 is where I want the stock. Everything else is relatively weak that I'm looking at, with the exception of Beyond Meat.
Yeah, I'm just staring this down. So I did take a little flip long on that push there. off of 98. So we are breaking some prior bars. Let's see if this comes into fruition. 99s potentially coming in. Maybe we do a little bit of a chop and churn of that 100 if we can get past this 99. As of right now, VWAP sitting pretty at that 100 mark right now. 99s rebidding. Rebidding above 99s as of right now. Let's see if we get that continuation. That bid came in quite aggressive. I was like, I got a GTFO of the short right there. Cover, great reason to buy, great reason to flip long, I think, in my opinion. Let's see if that kind of comes in. 99s coming in, moving average sitting at 99.45s, and we saw aggressive selling just pushing into the bid right off of the open, and we're getting a little bit of a reversion. So we get the opening range low break, flip long to reversion. Let's see how far this reversion goes. We've retraced about 30% as of right now. I like that. Let's see if we can do about a 50% retracement. VWAP, again, sitting at 99.90s right now, trading at 99 quarters.
Oh boy, indeed. And the overall look and what the market did in that moment, we wicked down underneath 18.1 and then reclaimed it in a big way here. So you do have a liquidity grab underneath like what would be like a bull flag and then trend back into the upside. When I see that, I just jumped out. Let me just quickly get that out of the way. I just quickly jumped out of Intel at the 19. I wanted to make sure if we're trading off of VWAP and wanting VWAP, we took a break down because it was breaking the lows. You held the bottom, you cover some, tight stop, wait for VWAP to be tested, and then we'll see what happens there. I'm still looking at 100 as a reversion play on Intel, and Beyond Meat is the thing that just popped into my radar. If it can hold VWAP here, a run back into the high on a 39% short flow post earnings is a decent setup. So the day two plays aren't really going, but a day one play in here on Beyond Meat certainly looking rather good for now. It has to hold on to this $6 level, however. Incoming is at 100 level, Obi.
Hundo. Sorry, I was just like, Hundo coming in. 99.90s testing as of right now. So let's see how well this 100 comes in. But yeah, VWAP is right here, 99.89. I do have to remember that. So we are back into that VWAP zone. Let's see if we get a little bit of a pop. Or are those VWAP sellers still dominant on the day? We know the sellers were very dominant all day yesterday, and we did a little bit of a continuation right off of the open, off of that 102. 99.80 still coming in as of right now. So it's chip chop on at the 100 as this chip tries to test 100 right now. VWAP still holding. Again, hasn't really retraced about 50. Well, I guess that's 50% retracement. There's the 100. Oh boy. Let's go. Can we get 101s? We have broken past VWAP. Let's see. A lot of those shorts, if you were getting short and aggressive into the off the open,
it's a trap.
Okay, back through 100. Again, can we expect 100 to chop and churn? We've seen it yesterday. We've seen it all throughout the morning. We're seeing some of it now. Let's see how much of a chop and churn this 100 has. We're trading a little bit back below. VWAP, again, 99.89s. Let's see if we can hold above that VWAP right now, or do we go back to the downside?
I feel like, I just tried to get some to the short side and didn't get picked up. It did that dance. Pre-market lows are here, 133, you could call it. It's like the lower high. It's not really the lows. You guys know what I mean by it, though. So 130. I think the 50 spot is where it's got to be here. The $0.50 if you're going to play anything off of VWAP, but standing in front of it doesn't even make sense. No, it's got to be a curl. Absolutely has to be a curl to the downside. Otherwise, this could rip it and just go right into that 102 zone, which was the better price to have in the first place. And I think it's the thing, if you break out the top here now, you basically got everybody off guard.
Oh boy.
And I'm looking over, it's Palantir, which is now holding above 27. Yeah, so it needs to be a curl. It's got to show some selling in here for me to want to grab that. Instead, I can just go back over to Intel and short that at VWAP as opposed to standing out in front. So I want to see it wick the top and then go back out underneath. I'm still looking at some of those day two plays. Palantir's trying to hold the bid over 27. Upstart's not doing very good. Shopify's breaking out. That's the one, Obi. Shopify's actually breaking out. But the eyeballs are on NVIDIA at this kind of VWAP decision point here.
Yeah.
After that rejection, I'm still looking for re-entry to the short initially. That is setting up a little bit better now, but it's still got to take some time here. I don't want to rush into it. You don't want to throw the profits away by rushing into the next trade. Certainly Intel's a heck of a lot weaker.
Yeah, definitely. High of this candle, 133. We're still chopping around that 100 as of right now, still holding that VWAP. So yeah, bit of a bust stop here on that VWAP. And that's a bit of a strong pull. So you know what? I'll be gone from here. I will reassess if we get back through that 100. But yeah, thank you. Come again on that little shake and bake.
You're allowed
Short
to do
through that 102. Oh, I know.
You can say it the right way.
98 back through.
I can't, but
yeah, we don't want to pull out the accent just yet. It's reserved for special occasion.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say getting top and bottom would be a special enough occasion, and
I mean,
I'm 99.9%
I like both top and bottom.
I'm for sure all of you guys are going to agree with me on that. That is exactly the time that you want to bring it out, Obi, when you get top and bottom. Come on, man. Everyone wanted to hear it. It's fine. You guys know what we're trying to reference. So kind of waiting for the backside of that trade. I suppose you could always have a better price through the first time, but if it's going to hold here, let's see the sellers come in, maybe give reason for some people to get out and then try to join it. It could always break out the top and then head to the high. So I think a local stop up here is going to make a lot of sense there on NVIDIA. Just give it to that local high. Like, this is not a hold it all the way to 102 situation. I think that would be, like, to me, that's just reckless if you hold it to 102. I did not get Intel at VWAP because it just didn't give me a fill on the offer. But if you see it pop in, I'm shorting Intel up at VWAP. And I'm pivoting from Palantir to Shopify. Shopify is breaking out the top as we speak. So there's a challenge. You might take out that high. Want to keep it a tight stop here on NVIDIA, the way that bounced to the upside. And then Shopify will show you guys this way. Shop through resistance in yesterday's afternoon. So good shout out to everybody letting you know that it's breaking out. I think this is the one to join. Shopify looks like it's the strong one on day 2, day 3 type plays. Clean upward trend here on Shop that I'd like to be able to join at VWAP if we can get it. Did I hear Adara? Nope. Okay, we're not going to Adara just yet. We'll stick right here with NVIDIA. It's trying to break to the downside. I know we had numbers at 10 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's going to go in the chat. We had inventories, wholesale inventories, as expected. That's a nothing burger.
Yeah. 130 is coming back in here with some.
Okay, wow,
oh boy,
look at that
all right.
break. It broke the high and just
aggressive.
ran.
I had to stay long with that one.
Ooh.
I don't know why I punched out of everything, but again, my execution has to do much, much better than this. Yeah, so this is the thing. Again, we talk about working on our executions, trying to get better at the trading, and I'm like, well, that was the first sign of trouble. Why am I punching out of everything? Probably because I chased all the way from 98s. I bought more at 99s, bought more at 100. So, you know, got to do a little bit better. What's going on, Adara, happening now?
Randy, can I?
Sorry for the wait there, guys. We did get some numbers coming through at 10 a.m. Wholesale inventories on a month-over-month basis were flat compared to expectations and the previous number at 0.2%. In terms of wholesale sales month-over-month here, also for June, negative 0.6%. So that was actually a bit lower here than the forecast of 0.3% and the previous number here of 0.4%. S&P 500 really nicely strong here on the day, up about 1.3%. NASDAQ up about 1.5% here. So NASDAQ a little bit stronger in terms of percentage, but S&P 500 well over its previous high of the day right now in the 3-minute chart. So good look here for these markets. Not a lot of other economic data to assess throughout the day beyond those numbers we got and those lower than expected jobless claims we had this morning. Also, though, be aware, Fed's barking speaking at 3 p.m., so that could be something to watch in the afternoon. Couple things to look at here. Palantir continuing to be strong here after its earnings. At highs of day up about 5%, announced that it's set to partner with Microsoft for its Azure government to put some AI items on that platform. So good look here for PLTR. We also have MSTR on watch here. They have their first day of trading after their 10-to-1 stock split today, and also announcing this Microsoft One, which is a SaaS solution for the government available on AWS Marketplace. So nice look here for some of these names. Lots of earnings names on watch as well, guys.
Right back in.
So just very quickly, you can see we waited for a bit of a curl, but it wasn't enough of a curl. Try to keep it tight. Try to have like a small hit relative to what you're able to win. But still, there wasn't enough downward pressure on NVIDIA there. And as I was focused on NVIDIA, I'm just going to quickly show you guys what happened on Palantir. Like Palantir held VWAP there. This will be me canceling that order. And then it tried to break out here. Palantir is absolutely churning to the upside right now. It's broken out the top. It's on the way to $28. So this is also broken out. Now, look, NVIDIA, that's a strong move, but things are breaking highs, and I want to look for a spot to be able to join it. I'm only in that Intel trade, but a big mover there on PLTR. This was on the watch list. This was on all of our radars here. It just needed to hold that 27, which it's now done in spades. So good churn to the upside on this and Shopify. It's just a matter of being able to join that trend back in. Those are things that are stronger, relatively speaking. Thank you very much, Randy. Randy also saying check out XOM, which I don't mind doing. We had Occidental earnings, Randy. ExxonMobil. Oh, that's good.
Oh, baby. Oh, baby.
It's breaking through a double top to the upside here, so good look for XOM. That's Randy's baby. And then you had Oxy was the one that actually reported. Did absolutely nothing in the aftermarket on Oxy, but XOM breaking out through those highs. So let's go back a little bit of focus here, as NVIDIA does seem like it's going to want to hold VWAP, maybe retest those highs, but it's not really churning here, Obi.
Yeah,
market's breaking the highs right now, and we're not.
Pressure kind of showing itself.
Yeah, you're not really getting up to that top here.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the probability of that 102, I think in my mind, if that top breaks on the DAC, like becomes a little bit higher, if not a lot of bit. Yeah, let's see, 101's coming right back in. So, oh boy, I got to do better. I had the long off of the 98s and the 100 back through, and the VWAP hold. The 15-minute chart looking a little spicy here, and the 30-minute. Take a look at that wick action on the 30-minute. That's definitely an oh boy moment for not holding holding some of that long. Again, no need to piece out of all of it, but my execution's got to do better. Like, look at this. I chase it here. Let me remove these wicks so we can take a little bit of a better look at this. How high is that wick? Okay, so 106. Let's put that in right there, and let's to get rid of this wick as well. A little bit here. Where is that one sitting at? That one's sitting at 106. That's a little high, buddy. We just put it a little bit above what it actually traded, so we can fix that. But take a look at this right here. We talked about a 50% retracement. Oh boy, we're doing over a 50% retracement, almost a 66% retracement here on that flush off of a resistance level 102s. So holding that VWAP as of right now, holding above VWAP, dips into VWAP, we're bought up. VWAP right now sitting at 99.95s. What's going on, Adara?
Beware of Mullen here, M-U-L-N, penny stock auto name here. They announced this morning that they have expanded their dealer Eco Auto in terms of the purchase of 180 commercial EVs. So commercial EV expansion for Eco Auto, sending MULN to the upside here. Also worth noting for Mullen, they do have a short float of about 22.1%, guys.
Only 22%. I would have expected it would be a lot higher than that. Just one quick one. I see Van Ket. You're asking suggestions for Lumen. My first suggestion would be, okay, so it broke clear support all day yesterday at $6. What's to like about it once it broke that support? Now, I'm not trading it unless it was above 6 and breaking out highs. Not one that I was that interested in. But until you get down into, this is about $4.50, and then a previous high was $5.25. I think it just needs to find some kind of prior support before it calms itself down. It just lost it at $6, and technically you're starting to see it trend down very heavily. So always have a stop when you're trading. Like, there has to be a line in the sand somewhere. And to me, 6 was an obvious one based on yesterday, and you can see the way that it's fallen when it got back through. Yeah, NVIDIA's now going to test VWAP. The question can be, is it going to be able to bounce off of VWAP here and show a little bit of strength? Or are we still looking weak relative to the market? It's Shopify. Look at Shopify holding this trend to the upside. Super strong name. I don't know a good place to join unless we get some kind of a consolidation pattern or a pullback where we can find a dip. You have the opening range high here at 65, 66 or so. I think that would be a reasonable spot. But we just have to be patient. Pick our spots with it. Can it do it? Certainly possible you can get that kind of a pullback. But the way NVIDIA held that 98 again, I think this is the one to kind of stick with and look for the next play. I think we're making decisions at the right spots. The 102 short, try it 100. They get out 98. Glad you got that long. I wasn't really looking long on that name. I think I got psyched out by SMCI, to be honest with you. SMCI looked very, very heavy in that moment. and obviously it didn't matter whatsoever. I do still think this could break out the top here on NVIDIA, and if it does, there's a lot of people caught in the other direction. Still, I think there's probably still some 100 shorts that are giving it to 102. Like, that's reasonable. There's probably people short 100%. Here that, or anywhere in here that added here and are like, I'm good till 102 or maybe like a 102 half. Yep. So until they're broken, I still think you have a chance there. Oh, I like that look. Yeah, they could be short here or here, and they just think they're holding it all day long, meaning they're giving it to that high. Yeah. So if this high gets taken out, there's still a breakout play potentially on NVDA.
Yeah, no. So I did try a cheeky reshort when it did pull back in off of that 100 halves. I was like, all right, well, if it gets back through that 100 half, I'm gonna get out at that 69s, and it came back into 69s, and we're still holding. So now we've claimed the 8 EMA is holding, dips down into the 8 EMA confluence with VWAP are holding as of right now on pullbacks. So again, that selling pressure was aggressive and strong off of the open. Now I'm just kind of waiting for what is the next trade. This is kind of no man's land for me now. Just any kind of shots I take at it here might be a little cheeky, like I said, but definitely define levels at that high a day, 102.27. And then I guess we also pointed out pre-market lows. I'm like, all right, off of the 8:30 a.m. market catalyst number, whatever came out, today was a jobs number, but whatever comes in, volume comes in, catalyst happens, buying pressure started off at this 97 halves. So, and we slam off of the open all the way down, 102s to 97 halves. Again, I'm like, all right, will that buying pressure kind of pick back up? You see it on the tape, it's there. I like it. I got to be more confident to have a lot more on my initial entry so that I don't find myself kind of getting rid of all my inventory as soon as we get a little bit of trouble there in and around that VWAP. So that's something I do have to get better with. 101's coming in as of right now. Oh boy, here we go. Let's see. Now, if we just sideways chop on this ticker, okay, you know what? Shopify, I like you right now.
Shop is so strong.
Yeah, a little bit of a strength happening. We saw yesterday sold off all day, but I'm looking at these 15 minutes and a little bit of a red printing right now. What is the market up to? Okay, 18.3. All right, I'll respect that. What's going on?
The market's flying. Alphabet is leading the charge to the upside. It's got a 163 top from yesterday. If it breaks that out, I want something that's going to, I guess, follow along would be the best way to think about it. And when I look over the board, load. Amazon, it'll come up eventually. It's trying to get through a lower high, so it's lagging a little bit, but holding on to obvious strength at 163. The other one to watch is Apple, but okay, maybe it'll be Tesla first. I was going to go through a couple of names there, but Tesla, to me, if Tesla breaks out this local high, 196 change, the room is to that 204. I mean, 200 is the psychological level, but the room is to that 204. And then we talked about crypto earlier. Coinbase never gave you into that support. Okay, not deep into that support. I guess you could have really just wicked in right there off that line that I drew, but it didn't get anywhere down into that 180 zone where you had the late support, but this could also be breaking out. If it takes out 190, room to 200. I'm still only in until that's still somehow magically underneath its pre-market high because everything is breaking out except for it. But before NVIDIA gets there, Tesla's going to get there. So look, NVIDIA might get to 102. Tesla is getting to 196. That's going to be the next play. Lit grab underneath pre-market lows, a bit of a double bottom at 190. Now just a matter of can it take out said top. Shopify needs to do some kind of a consolidation here. It doesn't seem to want to do anything but gently trend higher. It's a 45-degree angle up on Shopify, which is not letting me into it at all.
Yeah, so a bit of a pullback off of that 18.3 on the NASDAQ has me a little interested once more here. But like I said, a little bit of a just cheeky entries, just trying to feel out what might be going on here. 101s, oh boy, all right, coming right back into 101s as of right now. But yeah, holding that moving average. But some of these pre-market levels as well, going right into the open where we sold off from are coming in as well. Adam DeLuz, thank you for the super chat. Hit the like button, print that dollar, guys. Yeah, that's what we're trying to do right now. NVIDIA is trying to print that $101. Let's see if that kind of comes in there. 18.3, a bit of an interesting spot on the DAC. Let's see if we can kind of, let's see what we do there. I have no idea. On the NASDAQ is what I mean when I say that.
Nobody's trading the DAX here anyway. Actually, that's not necessarily true. Sometimes the boys in the back are trading the German markets. Well, the European markets. I don't think, maybe not Germany. So there's the break on Intel. We'll slap the fail for now. First short good, second short not. As that's coming through, I did want to point out what's happening on AMD. But if I see Intel pop, fail the pre-market highs, and then just come right back down, that would set up a reshort. But the market's looking strong into the top. Still no breakout or anything like that on Tesla. Still no dip buy on Shopify. But you've already run the top on AMD before NVIDIA got there. So the fact that NVIDIA is lagging all of a sudden, I keep saying wait for the high. I know you're already in it. Yeah, I don't want to talk myself into it when I feel like this is the spot. But you just ran the high on AMD, and NVIDIA couldn't even get there. So this might be a spot. But I do want to see if there is something maybe a little bit better than NVIDIA, which is turning above VWAP. Micron's very strong. ARM is on the NASDAQ. ARM is very strong as well. Once you get it wrong the first time, it has to load up. Yeah, ARM, no, basically the same setup on ARM as NVIDIA. That's the same thing. There's no point going away from NVDA.
Yeah, 101's coming in now. But yeah, it's still, again, I'm in pretty small here, just kind of feeling out this 101 area. I'm in from 100 halves, which is not the best price, but let's see if that kind of comes in there. But market doing a little bit of a red candle here at the start. We've got 14.5 minutes for this 15-minute candle to print. Let's see if we continue to the upside here on NVDA. Again, I got to keep in mind what that 30-minute wick action looks like, what that 15-minute wick action looks like on the chart. And with the market potentially pushing through that 18.3, that price action definitely has to be respected for the most part. There, 100.01s is VWAP now, and I got the 8 EMA on the 3-minute chart at 157. We're still holding above those prices, so we've kind of reclaimed, and we're trending up. If you're using that indicator to kind of give you a guide for trending, and we're pushing higher in terms of bars as well, right? We clipped the pre-market lows. Not really clipped them, but like we bid up aggressively off of them there. Oh boy, all right, cool. 101.
That just broke the local level.
Yeah.
I keep taking these like pot shots at NVIDIA with a tight stop, and it just keeps on going higher. But I mean, at least I'm getting, I don't know, at least I'm getting out of it. I keep saying it could break out the top and it could be a long, yet I'm just kind of doing this, which is nonsensical. Like I should be looking for some kind of a long into it. Okay, just before we get to that high of the day, Shopify let us in. Let us in the store finally. I don't know, I don't have puns for Shopify. But so here's 66. It's the first dip that this thing had since it broke it out, right? So it went 66 half, back into 66, bounced off 66. I offered 22 because when I was a kid, I loved Will Clark. So that's pretty much it. He was a gamer for the San Francisco Giants, and then had some good years with the Texas Rangers. I'm a baseball guy. I'm going to get some out at the top end of the range, look for a place to reload it. But you guys tell me, do you see... Like, what is showing strength like this that was in the play? Like, look at the channel that's also got going here. I know Palantir is looking pretty good, but if you go from top to or bottom to top here, you're also holding a very tight trend line that will be pretty easy to get out of if it happens to break. So there's the charge, NVIDIA, right up to the top. It's going to get to that 102, I do think. A lot of people are going to be off guard if it takes out that high. But Chop's been flying regardless. That was a home run trade yesterday, both directions. Like early in the pre-market, and then right away at the open, then the reversion right back into support. It bounces off that in the pre-market. Like, why wouldn't we just be headed right to 67.5 again? And then cross that bridge when we get there. If it doesn't break out the top, then you just take it out. But you still got another $1 to go here on Shopify. Super strong name. I'm going to guess Palantir is doing the same thing day two. There you go. I mean, Shopify, Palantir, pick your poison. It's not day 2 for Palantir, it's like day 3 or whatever. But it doesn't matter. It's the same thing. It's head toward that 28 level. That looks very, very strong. So move on to something that's strong, scalp it into the high, and wait for NVIDIA to show the top, which I think is a little tighter to that 102 level. Instead of holding it, wait for the next price. Maybe that was just it while we were getting the long in Shopify. NVIDIA decided that was going to be the high, right where we got in the first time. Almost to a dime.
Yeah, that some of those prior levels coming in as well. But we're holding some of these levels. Let's see, 18,350, a little bit of a pullback here on the Nasdaq. Again, 191 now is where that moving average is sitting, and I am sitting right below that moving average as well in terms of my average. Let's see if that comes in. Bit of a 200. Is that a 200 moving average right there? Yes, it is. 200 moving average. We're hovering below that by a few points, just above the high on NVIDIA. 101.50s as of right now. Let's see what we do with that 18.3. Right, Neil? About 10 minutes left for this 15-minute candle to print, and NVIDIA pushing up towards its highs, kind of knocking on the door.
That's a V shape.
Yeah, that is a strong V shape.
You know what? I just saw this in the chat, and I got to say it out loud from Roger in the chat. Trade with the charts, not with your hearts. That's a great line. I think it's 100% true. You know, if it's showing you strength, play it long. If it's showing you weakness, play it short. Don't worry about what you tend to think about things. You can draw a narrative to something, and that's a point in the chat. It does make sense. You can't have a narrative and an idea, but if the chart's telling you, the price action's telling you something else, you do not want to ignore that. I was asked about, we're going to go to the small cap recap. There was a quick question about Coinbase, so I'm going to do this. Coinbase just failed a break of 190. If it can hold on to 188 or VWAP, that would look pretty good, but wow, that is a turn to the downside here. So we're about to give you the small cap recap with Adara.
IWM a little bit weaker here than the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 on a percentage basis, but holding some pretty nice support around that 203.50 area. Then again, here around 204s. Definitely a little bit of resistance at the 205, just above 205, but some higher highs. Interesting setup here for that Russell 2000 as of right now. Quite a few small cap names to talk about, including MULN. Mullen did mention this one earlier when we got that initial volume spike, but they do have their Eco Auto dealer here having this expansion via the purchase of 180 commercial EVs. Lots of social media attention for this one. We're talking multiple tweet tags per minute, and we also do have a short float of about 22%. We also have Harrow here, HROW. They're up about 47.5% right now on the day. They reported earnings and they beat across the board. 15.7% short float here for HROW. Last but not least, another small cap earnings name with a bit of a short float. This one is going to be Digital Turbine. APPS is the ticker for this one. They beat across the board for their fiscal Q1 2025 earnings. Short float of 5.6%. So quite a few heavily shorted names on watch here, guys.
Yes, sir. I mean, you can add Beyond Meat to, Beyond Meat, I didn't actually get a trade in that one, but BYND, last I checked. Look at it, hold on. Look at it, hold on to this channel here. I can draw it for you, but like everyone can do that with their own eyes. So you've got higher lows, higher highs for a potential breakout. Next step would be bounce off VWAP. I'm talking myself into this one over Upstart. Like Upstart's got this going on. It's hilarious. You'll like which one do you like better? Similar channels. This one after a breakout. This one inside of the range. Upstart was part of the plan. This one was not. So I'm going to probably lean back over to Upstart, but that looks good just as well. Gerson Burson. NVAX. Wow, you called it. So this was the SSR bounce play. Short sell restricted, bouncing off those 8.5 areas. I mean, NVIDIA was always going to be the play. Testing that 101.5 was the short. So at the open, that's where we're looking because it tested it almost instantaneously, but it is what it is. Great bounce play. I know a certain somebody that I'm really hoping is printing on that name. I really, really hope so. Back up to $11. I'm not thinking about anything on this stock up here. I'm not thinking short. I know it's at a resistance spot, but I'm not thinking short and I'm not thinking long.
Oh, we were talking about that bit of a bounce there. Yeah, oh boy, all right.
Big short float
That's
on Novavax, right? Like, you've got to respect it.
Wow.
Oh, Tesla's breaking the highs. All right, so here's Tesla challenging that top. We'll see if it's going to hold out above the 196. Okay, let's get on to Tesla here. If it can hold on to the 196, Tesla room to 200 as the market continues to churn to the upside here. I'd be careful with any shorts at this point. Intel just broke back out. Every time I get in, it's like 5 cents here, 5 cents there. Eventually it adds up. Thankfully, it was pretty good on Intel yesterday, but we're about a third of the way. That's what we made on it yesterday. So watching how we react to Tesla 196, sellers starting to come in here as it can't really maintain above that breakout price. Once it does, I think look for the long, and Shopify about to give me a reload. But I want to stay here with Tesla as Shopify. I'm still holding on to 66. It's not really giving you reloads close to that 66 level. But Tesla challenging that 196, very, very careful.
Yeah, we're still kind of holding on top of this 101. Some sizes going through. We're holding that moving average as well. VWAP at 110 as of right now, and we're still holding 18.3 on the NASDAQ. So got to keep eyes on that. Something interesting, though, the ES continues to push a little bit higher as we speak as well. So trading at 5,300, just above 5,300 on the ES. I do want to watch that Google to see if that kind of was leading the way. As Neil pointed out earlier, is Google kind of taking a little bit of a pullback here. So I do want to, what happened right there? Okay, yeah, I do want to see the 3-minute on that one right there, switching back down from the 15-minute on Google. And Google holding right now at 162.30s. Softy just holding above its pre-market highs. Spider on the way up. Almost, it's holding, what is it? It's holding right below pre-market consolidation lows from yesterday. Again, Spider as well, selling off of its highs. 531s all the way down to 515s yesterday. Oh boy, a 15-point run on the Spider yesterday. That was absolutely wild. Again, a lot of tickers getting sold off during the day. Nvidia still holding this one. Amazon, hello. Amazon didn't quite get to yesterday's highs. Yesterday's high is a bit of an interesting level as well on a multi-time frame, and now we're just chopping and churning sideways in between a couple of those levels, in between the opening range as well. But yeah, let's see what we got in store. The NASDAQ trying to push that 18,350 again, Neil. So maybe we are poised for a little bit of a continuation to the upside. I have no idea.
There was a rhyme that those low-hanging fruit there with the SPY breaking those highs. It's like I spy with my little eye something that is green. The spiders? The spy? I don't know, whatever. It kind of works, but there's the break of the high we're waiting for on Tesla. When it's an uptrend like this, I always want to play it one of two ways. Actually, usually I'm willing to play it both ways. Break the high, hold on to the even dollar. If it can hold 196, let it go into 97, 97.5, and then play to 200. Otherwise, if it's going to be a dip buy, let's see it hold previous supporter trend. 2 separate trades into a long trend. So either bounce off 195, which I'll be out of this. I'm not holding a 96.5 into 195. It's more of a scalp trade on the breakout. Or we get a dip buy, or both. We'll see. Like, you could break down 96, I'm out, and then I'm looking for re-entry off 95. It could just go clean, and then if we scalp out here 2/3, then I'm looking for retraces off the trend line. So still in Shopify, that looks pretty good. I did just take a peek over at AMD. AMD's already breaking out. I don't know if it's going to be stronger than NVIDIA, but for now it is. Like right now, whoops, I want to do this. Well, right now it is. So for now, 3.5% up to NVIDIA's 2.8, and this is the one that's really churning. I think NVIDIA can catch up, and I'm waiting for it to make a break of that high at 102.5. But Tesla can't. I said Tesla's going to get to the top before NVIDIA does, so we took the Tesla break because it got there first. So right now, the market is churning to the upside. We got 2%. I did say if we get to 2%, somebody needs to wear a little bit more green, and that is going to be Adara. And I just realized our position board that's not right. I did get into Tesla, as you can see on the break. Maybe if we can refresh that. I just noticed now when I looked at my program monitor that we're not showing the new Tesla position to the long side here. Oh, there it is. Yeah, but that took like a few minutes though. Yeah, so I don't know, maybe it's just a little bit slow, but hey, eventually it gets there. Usually the lag is like you punch into position and then you see it there in like 10 seconds or so, but all good. Let's see what happens to the upside. Manuel said Baba's at 80. I haven't looked at those as we're waiting for our first fill up in front of 97 there. I don't mind dropping into Alibaba or looking at Alibaba. I love that it's at $80 because I own it in my long term, but I never really had a plan for these. I know Michael Noss was all about K-Web. So that's got to be good for him. Oh, yeah, that doesn't look too bad at all. Okay, let's see how it responds to the bid above $80. I mean, looking at a daily chart, liking longs in the market is not enough reason to pull up a stock and just punch long. I know it's breaking 80, and that looks very, very sexy to me on the daily chart, but you don't just do that. You stick to your plan. So there's the break of it just got to 197 on Tesla. So that one's looking like it wants to slap some faces and slap some shorts up here. Now I want that dollar, that 197 half zone if we can get it. The other thing that we're long here is Shopify just bounced off 66 again. So if it's going to hold a bull flag, let's just bounce long off the bottom of the flag and take some profit off the top, and when it takes out the top, we'll hold on for dear life to see how far we can fly. The other thing going is going to be NVDA. It's like take pot shot, could have gone long. Take pot shot, could have gone long. Break out the high, and what? Am I actually going to end up waiting till it breaks the high to go long on NVIDIA? I think I said earlier, if it breaks the high, let it fly. So I guess the answer might be yes, but Tesla, did I just get filled there at 50s? No. Let me just grab that. Why did I not get filled? I thought I was right there on Tesla, so I just moved it a little bit. Tesla just got to that 197.50 zone. I just took 42s instead of like 48. But the market flying to the upside. Let's have a look at what crypto is doing with Adara at the desk.
I mentioned this one as well a bit during the Happening Now segment, but I think it's worth mentioning again. MicroStrategy, absolutely on watch today. This is its first day of trading after its 10-for-1 stock split. I have a bit of a split adjusted daily chart here. A lot of range-bound action for MSTR, that's for sure. Bottom here around that 120 area, top of around 190. But just be aware, now that this one has done its split, it is a little bit more accessible for intraday trading. Also this morning, we had MicroStrategy announce that it has this MicroStrategy 1 for government. So this is this solution, this SaaS solution now available through Amazon Web Services. So interesting look for MSTR with a couple notable catalysts. Bitcoin on the daily chart, nicely pushing above that 58,000 area after 2 days of wicking into it and failing to break above it. The 58,000 also pretty interesting support if you go back to early May 2024. So a bit of an interesting level we're trying to run into here. Let's see what we do here on Bitcoin as it pushes up with the rest of the market. Bitcoin here nicely up about 3.5%. Ethereum, though it was a little bit weaker in the pre-market, also up almost 3%, just below that 2,500 level. We have Solana up 6.5% here. BNB up 3%. Toncoin here up 45%. So generally pushes higher to varying degrees of strength for a lot of these crypto-related names, guys.
Ourselves.
Yeah, I just thank you very much, Adara. I was just telling Obi, on the tape there, Tesla just had a pretty sharp drop when it got to, it held that 197.5 and had a pretty sharp drop. And I was looking to see if the same thing happened elsewhere. A bit of one on Apple off pre-market highs, and you're getting that cresting zone here on NVIDIA. Still at the high, breaking the high of the day is Shopify. So it'll go, why not? We're not leading the metal count, but Shopify is certainly up 4%. So that's definitely working out. Not that we expect to lead the metal count. I mean, Canada doesn't have that many people anyway, so I think we're doing quite fine, especially in the swimming. It's got to be about what's going on here at NVIDIA at the highs. I took that shot here and that shot here. It's at the high. This is the only other place to take it. I still think it can be a breakout play through that top if you start seeing any bids over that 102, and they're starting to come in. But if it fails back under, got to look for the short trade. Oh, I didn't have a stop order for the long.
Yeah, we're we're coming into that 102 as of right now. 18.4 testing as well. Pre-market highs just got clipped by a few pennies. 27s were the highs. Right now the highs are 32s. We're pulling back into that 102. Bit of a false break as of right now. Let's see if that action kind of continues. 18.4 is the idea there on the NASDAQ there. 101.80s coming in. Let's see if we can get down to VWAP. VWAP at 124. We'd have to go down almost about 2 points for that to come in. As of right now, 101.80s trading. How much time is left on this 15-minute candle? We got about 11 minutes, 11 and a half minutes there, Neil. So a decent amount of time left. Let's see if we kind of continue this uptrend. Oh boy, there's some size getting taken out on the bid. Here we come in real fast. This is what I mean. If you try to get short anywhere between underneath those 102s, we slam down into 101.60s, giving us that like a 40 penny drop right away. Moving average sitting at 101.5s right now. Let's see if we hold above and maintain this trend. 18.4 is coming in as a little bit of resistance as well. But yeah, holding trend as of right now. A bit of a reversion happening on the bigger picture of yesterday's price action. How much have we reverted? About just, I think, over 30%, almost 50% as of right now. So,
and you've got a very, like as you mentioned, you've got a second trend line forming on NVIDIA. The break didn't go. So if that's a resistance level, we just jump right back. It's just a reversal. You'll see 2 orders here because you do have to fire 2 orders. Like I can't reverse from long to short because you have to declare, technically speaking, I know other places you can, but you're supposed to declare shorts versus a sell order to the market. So you get 2 separate orders in there, but they're adjacent to the same price. And as long as we hold this trend line, any short off the high is taking profit in front of that trend line. And not the one from the bottom. I'm talking about since it challenged VWAP. Here to here to here. Let me zoom that in a little bit better. There you go. So there's it trying to break the top, which I did have a stop order after all. I was looking, I'm like, I didn't see it because I didn't refresh my summary, which I'm going to go ahead and do now. But obviously, the second it reversed back through 02s, I wanted to jump into the short, profit to here. Any reloads are off the high of the day. If it takes out the high of the day again, then you got to stop fighting NVIDIA. Like, if you're in this situation, NVIDIA is not one that I would ever want to fight on a high of the day break. And everything else is churning. Like Tesla's holding above 97, Upstart's holding, NASDAQ is holding trend to the upside, the ES is holding trend to the upside, Apple's holding trend to the upside, Google, I mean, I could go on and on and on. At some point, either it's going to fail this top, break the trend line and give us VWAP, or it's just going to continue to go higher, in which case you got to get out of the short at some point. Be willing to take some pot shots and be willing to stop out. Never want to be short here all the way up into there. That's how you get blown out. So just very quickly, it's going to recap here on Shopify. We're done with the 66s, and it's broken that channel up. And just a reminder to everybody where that, why is that? There we go. Where we're headed, we get to yesterday's high. I'm out of Shopify. Let's go to Adara.
GameStop getting a little bit of a pop here for GME. Not seeing anything from Roaring Kitty, but seeing a lot of Twitter mentions here, especially in the last few minutes. Again, multiple per minute. So interesting look here for GME, looking like we're getting a little bit of an influx in retail interest. No news that I'm seeing this on this one, though. Yesterday, Social Blade published a report saying that Roaring Kitty is losing an average of 100 Twitter followers a day. Clearly not bothering GME here at highs of day, up above 2150, guys.
Goes NVIDIA through that high, while the trend line ends up holding like an absolute champion here on NVIDIA. Why did it disappear? But on NVIDIA, it just holds that trend line like an absolute champ. We're staying long and maybe should have just only gone long and been 3 long. Look, dip back into trend. I got to be thinking about a buy here, but anything over that half, we got to think breakout. It gets very similar to Tesla in this regard. So if it can break that half, I think this one can absolutely fly. The market, it's all green. The last hour, you only have green candles on a 15-minute, and on the NASDAQ, it's very much the same thing. So it's one step to get out. It's another to try to find an area long. Like I said, either it's going to be this trend line, or you take out that half. It could also be a 103. I'm going to do this and show you Apple's trying to trend back into its high of the day. If that goes, all bets are off for shorts, anything. If Apple takes out the high at the same time NVIDIA is going through, I think it'll be nasty. Tesla's holding 197.5, so I think the area that we got out, the last bit was perfect. Broke a 96.5 to go right to 97.5. Needed to get to that $200 level. That's the next stop. I want to be taking it out in front of $200, the last third. But it's all about this challenge here, 102.5 for NVDA. Oh, wow. That broke.
Coming in with some aggression.
That broke super fast. on 102.5 on NVIDIA. I didn't get filled. It broke. Order fired. No fill. No fill. No fill. I'm kind of seeing if it'll try to pick me up back here on NVIDIA on the 102.5 break, but it's really starting to fly above that and just not really coming back in. So that was pretty quick there. NVIDIA still flying to the upside. I don't want to chase it. If it pulls back on the break, let's wait for it to get down into the trend line. I did swing and miss at that one. Tesla's still going well. Shopify is still going well. But obviously, that was a bit of a missed opportunity. Let me just slap the fail on myself. You guys saw me miss that live. It is what it is, man. You can throw an order. You don't always have to get a fill on it. I can still work with what we got to the long side here, but it's not looking good for the shorts right now as NVIDIA continues to churn into the upside. I'll let you take it for a quick little second here. I just got to readjust some orders.
Yeah, no worries. Absolutely not. But
before we go, let's go to Adara. My bad. We're going to Adara at the desk.
This part of the show brought to you by stonks.com. Want a chance to win $1,000 every day? Stonks.com is giving out $1,000 daily, and entering is super easy. Predict the stock price after the earnings report. Today, we're looking at Take-Two Interactive, TTWO. All it takes is 30 seconds to join. Just go to stonks.com, sign up, and hit the Make Prediction button, and potentially win $1,000. It's that simple. Each day, you get one free ticket to predict. Want more chances? Share your referral link and get 5 extra tickets for each sign-up. Go to stonks.com. Don't miss out, and good luck. Really beautiful sector board here that we have today on a market that's generally green. We're seeing a lot of that reflected here with the exception of a couple earnings names. Consumer non-durables, for example, pretty green across the board with the exception of Monster, down more than 10% after a bit of a mixed report yesterday. Utilities a little bit gray as well, a bit more mixed, but generally other than that, tons of strength across the market. Producer manufacturing, retail trade, finance notably strong here, electronic technology and technology services, consumer services as well with the exception of a move down for Disney on day 2. Pretty green sector. We're talking here about health technology though. We have a lot of strength in this sector with the exception of Pfizer and Merck, but Eli Lilly here up more than 8% on their earnings, beat across the board with notable sales for Mounjaro and Wegovy. Commercial services also pretty strong here as well. PayPal's had quite the week, so this one continued to move higher. Transportation also feeling the effects of continued earnings reactions with Uber up about 3%. This would be their day 3 for earnings. So quite a few continued effects being felt by the sector board. Also worth noting as well, we do have Robinhood on watch, HOOD. They reported yesterday, but CEO Vlad Tenev is currently on Bloomberg TV saying that customers, as far as he's aware from customers, he's been told that they are buying the dip right now. So Robinhood customers seeing this market downtrend as a dip, according to CEO Vlad Tenev, guys.
And just on a quick shout out here on one of those earnings plays, Robinhood, which was actually last night's pick for stonks. I didn't win, but we did have a couple of winning bags, one on Palantir, one on Meta when they did it. This is giving it up and is underneath VWAP. Like you're seeing the market just keeps going higher and higher and higher. So the longs are definitely winning. And I did this, and earlier in the day, someone said, Neil, why are you looking for stocks that are trending up and are strong when the market and the shorts were working early? Because I always want to look for the next play. Like, what's the next opportunity? Yeah, the longs are working. I know what I want to dip by. I know what I want to ride with. Tesla, Shopify going up. If I could find my way into Palantir, I would have. But you got to look for what's next. And what I see is Robinhood gives it up underneath 18. That is a failed break of above here. I can go back further. You can see kind of a close up there at $18, and it's underneath VWAP. So that's a disappointing move. And now it's challenging the bottom. If the market turns and we flush, what looks better for a short? Things that are strong or a thing that failed a breakout and can't go with the rest of the market. I know which one. At the end of the day, a trade's a trade, a setup's a setup. But if I lose shorting this, I'm not going to feel one iota bad about it because this is relatively weak. It's setting up underneath VWAP. It's setting up underneath resistance. I didn't double check to see if we have free locates, so I'm just going to do this. Yeah, we have locates on it, so we can short it, no problem. So I want to short this to VWAP. And if the market comes back in, then I think this can work.
Yeah, we're having a little bit of a pullback off of that 18.4. So we pushed it from 18.4 to 18.3. on the Nasdaq, and Nvidia pulling back into its moving average here. So it's been holding on to its moving average quite well there. I know I'm fighting the trend a little bit here. Moving average sitting at 102.12s, and we keep, every time we do a little bit of a pullback, Nvidia keeps on getting bought up. And now this kind of confluences with pre-market highs here as well. We know the initial high was at 102.27. So any longs who attempted the breakout of pre-market highs only got about, I guess, less than a point of a move as of right now, with the Nasdaq pulling back off of that 18.4, and only about a minute and 20 seconds left for this 15-minute candle to print. I'm looking for a potential red print there on the Nasdaq. But if Nvidia kind of continues to hold this moving average, we may get that continued trend for the rest of the day. But again, that would be unfortunate for what I'm looking for here. But yeah, 102s, 103s. Looking back on the chart, been a bit of an interesting area. Let's see if this comes in as a break a trend here. We are trading right on top of that. 102.10s I got as the moving average on the 3-minute, 8 EMA, give or take like 10, 15 pennies. It keeps on getting bid up every time we pull back into it. If the trend is to slow down, I'll be watching the 21 EMA at 101.40s as well. So let's see if we can get down there. It all depends on these futures, man. If the futures continue to be strong on the day, and Nvidia kind of continues to follow the futures and doesn't really disconnect, then we may continue to the upside here. VWAP sitting at 142 on NVDA, trading below 102s now. So a little bit of break in trend, but again, with about 4 seconds left, let's see if we reclaim, or do we close below this level and finally we get a little bit of a pullback here. I got no idea, as clearly I'm holding a bit of a bag here, but keeping in mind that I do want significantly more size for the move potentially back down into VWAP here.
So one thing, I'm actually going to tweet this out. It's okay to be late to a party. Just make sure you're well dressed. In the trading sense, that means it's never too late to join a trade or join a trend, as long as you get a good execution. And so I'm going to give 2 examples of this. One, anywhere along this upward trend line on Tesla would have been good. The breakout ended up being okay. It doesn't matter whether you get the low, as long as you get something in there, and we can see if it gets to 200. And I'm going to use the same example. Like, I think I had the wrong spot for NVIDIA. Like, now NVIDIA wants to break this trend line to the downside. Like, that should be confirmation if it holds underneath here. But if it bounces off this, then it doesn't matter. I think we're just going to run back into the high of the day. So I want to be patient with the next play. I don't think I was... Look, the long was off the bottom, which Obi had. The long was off VWAP, which I was trying to short. And then when it did this one, I don't mind that. I mind this trade a lot. Like, that is not... Like, this one angers me in a certain way, because at that point, it established those lower highs, and I was shorting right into the new established trend. That doesn't make any sense. If you're going to do that, you got to wait for up here. So at least that made some sense. And now you are holding to that trend line to the upside. So there you go. There's a bit of a bottom. Tesla just took out the 128 level. Robinhood, just give you an example. I just got into Robinhood, but see, market goes higher, Robinhood holds VWAP. If that loses, fine. And the other thing, now Apple wants to get to the high too. Now you got to let these bad boys fly. But I got to go over just very quickly to Upstart. Not Upstart. I meant Shopify. Shopify is the one I wanted to go to. Upstart, Shopify, Palantir. I keep getting them mixed up. But just bounced back into 66 sharply and still holding that line. But a bit of a difference here on Upstart. Shopify. I just did it twice. Twice. A bit of a difference is the market was trading higher. It pulled back in sharply, just like NVIDIA did. So got to be careful with this one. It's still holding that 66 and that bull flag.
Yeah,
now I'm just gonna say Upstart every single time I pull up Shopify. You know how you get in your head? I've got the yips when it comes to talking about Shop. For some reason, I just keep saying Upstart. Oh goodness, I'll get over it.
Yeah, that bid came right back in aggressively, kind of reclaiming that pre-market high plus the trend we were looking at earlier there. So aggressive bid back, attempting for a push for high a day as the Nasdaq pushes back through that 18.4 area as well. So got to keep a close eye on this one. aggressive selling to the downside, that breaks trend, aggressive buying right back up on NVIDIA, just off of that 102 level. So definitely a little bit of a shake and bake happening in this area here. 102s, we talk about this being a little bit of an interesting area. If you do look left on the chart, bit of a resistance level here, and the NASDAQ is pushing higher. So is the ES, and I'm holding on to a little bit of a bag here. So I kind of realized that just looking at across the board, Alphabet looking very, very strong as well. Softy, maybe a little bit of a pullback here on Softy, but still holding some of its highs there as well. Apple, that 213 may be in store if we continue this trend to the upside, Neil. So I got a lot on watch. What are
Be careful.
you guys
Two things
trading today? What's going on?
Before we get to that, I see a lot of people talking about Lumen, but there was I might get back into this, but I set my stop at VWAP. I don't usually have a VWAP stop. I know it's not like it's a line on a chart. That's just where I felt like it's breaking trend to the upside on Robinhood. And if you're going to short something, short a weak name, I could have possibly given it more room. Unless it fails back under, I don't want to be short that name anymore. Tesla heading to 199, Apple heading to the highs. Everything seems to be breaking out higher. And then Lumen just woke up. So Lumen has been, it's been falling to the down. I don't want to say dying. That seems extreme when the stock is still up like a bajillion from like $1 it was like just weeks ago. But it finally caught a bid, and it was right at that $5. So this could be spicy. VWAP 580. When it held a bottom in the morning yesterday, it double bottomed it, triple bottomed it, and each time it gave you almost $6 to $7. So if this can do something similar, I like the look of a 5 into 6 here on Lumen. And NVIDIA, it looks like a long to me. Look at it hold that trend line. So you have another confirmation of the trend holding. And I'm not talking about from the bottom. I'm talking about from VWAP. The low from VWAP, this low, that low, and then the big one. On the big drop, there's the big test. That's a lot of confirmation that we're headed to the upside. Before we go to, let's go to the desk. We've got a Dara. It's already 10:50. Wow, Money Talks.
USD trying to make its third straight candle here to the upside on the daily chart here for the DXY. This is following two steep red candles on Friday and Monday as we had the market and the DXY drop here. So interesting recovery trajectory looking to continue here for the US dollar. In terms of the economic data, it's been a pretty light day and week. We did get jobless claims, though, this morning, coming in lower than expected, giving a nice little pop to the market. And it looks like the DXY as well, getting 233,000 jobs versus the estimate of 241,000. So a drop from last week and below the estimate. Wholesale inventories month over month for June came out at 10 a.m., came in exactly flat with expectations and the previous number. So not a lot to talk about there. We do have Fed's barking coming at 3 p.m. That's going to be the last real exciting piece of economic data or updates to be aware of. But it is worth noting, we do have some comments from JP Morgan and its CEO, Jamie Dimon, with regards to the U.S. recession risks. We have JP Morgan economists yesterday saying they've now raised their odds of the recession by the end of the year from 25% to 35%. We have Jamie Dimon also yesterday on CNBC saying that he still sees the odds of a recession this year at 35 to 40%, saying that, he's seeing a soft landing odds between 35 to 40%. So he does see the recession as the most likely scenarios. So interesting note here, recession's still a risk as we do wind up this pretty light economic data week, guys.
Yes, sir. Jamie Dimon forever being... He's been very doom and gloom lately. Well, actually not lately. It's been like the last year the guy's been doom and gloom. So a couple of things. I just put a trail in here as Tesla broke out this level. So right about noon, you had the real flush. I mean, the biggest part of the flush started up here at 200, but then you've got that lower high. If we lose onto this area, I think I got to give it up. But I'm looking for the press into 200 where I still think you're going to run into some chops. So that's going up. And then there was a good question. I was asked what was that trend line on NVIDIA? So let me go back here. So so you have the reversal off 98. That's a support level. When it held on to VWAP, and again, that's an area that a lot of people would look short. I know I did, and it lost. But it bounced right here when it was testing 100. So that's the thing. It's testing 100 in VWAP, and the bounce is right there. once, to me, it finds another higher low, so it breaks back out 100, holds 100, so to me it's a VWAP 100 test, holds the bottom there as well. At that point, I'm like, let's see if it can hold that trend, because I think it reversed off 98 and it held VWAP. So I connect that bottom to that bottom and then just see what happens. I don't know that it's going to hold up. Again, if it doesn't matter, then you ignore it. But that's why I was ticked off at myself for taking the short, because it just confirmed that trend, and I'm shorting into it. Look how tight that is to the trend line. Like, why the heck short there? If anything, you could flip long on a break and see if it continues to go. Flip long on a break, goes to the high, holds right there. That's what I'm looking for. So until this breaks this trend and holds underneath it, I feel like it's a bit of a long trade. I just haven't worked my way back into the trades. So I have a trail out on Tesla. Upstart, we've taken care of there a little bit. And then Lumen, Lumen's a New York stock. Whatever. Lumen held this $5 level. Here it comes retesting it. So yesterday, Lumen triple bottomed here at about 6 and change. Right now it's made one bottom at 5, just looking for a hold of 5 one more time, and then I want to go long with a stop underneath $5. The low of the day is 501, not $5 even, but close enough. That's a distinction without a difference here for a stock that has just moved $2. I don't think it matters 1 or 2 cents. And I would have a tight stop. If we can hold a higher low, I'd be looking for something in the teens with a stop underneath $5. On Lumen, if you get to risk 15 cents, when VWAP is 70 cents higher, I think that's a good bet. Because on this stock, it's all about risk to reward. You don't know what's going to happen. It's also SSR, down over 10%. Those are conditions that you could see a nice little bounce from here potentially.
Yeah, that's for sure. Pulling back through that 18.4 here, and Nvidia taking a little bit of a pullback here, back into that moving average. Again, a little bit of a struggle here to kind of pull back in as we push back towards some of those prior highs there. There's about 3,000 lots at that 103. Couldn't really get into them, and we kind of ran away from there. Coming right back into some of those pre-market high levels as of right now. 102.27 was that pre-market high. We're trading 102.30s as of right now, with a little bit of a pullback back through that 18.4, right? So we've been bidding up for almost an hour now since some of these lows here. So let's see if we catch a little bit of a pullback, or do we continue? Do we have a similar day as yesterday where we just trend to the upside all day, kind of closing near highs, or do we kind of pull back in? Does that selling pressure kind of come right back in from where it started accelerating yesterday, right? So we talk about that sell coming in throughout the market in and around 11 o'clock yesterday. That's where it kind of began, and then we sold off all day into the close. A little bit of a reversion happening as of right now. A little bit of a bid. We saw that sell pressure come in right off of the open as well, right? So had that continuation, bids right back above there, and that 18,000, bit of an interesting price there. Reference low of that jobs number that came out and gave us that aggressive bid to the highs there. 18.2s was interesting, bit of a shake and bake, and now we're this is the thing, Neil. We're moving on the Nasdaq 200, 300, 400, 500 points in a day at times, which is absolutely
volatility's back,
wild.
Baby.
Volatility expansion, gotta love it. And yeah, a little bit of reversion happening.
George
with
is
that volatility
back.
As well.
George is back.
What's that from?
Huh? Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't mean to give that face. Oh, yeah, I didn't really mean to get that. No, from Seinfeld, George Costanza.
No, I know, but like I said, I've only seen the first season. I gotta take time out to watch more of those seasons. They're great.
Oh, you gotta get on that.
Yeah.
You gotta get on that, Obi. And I was genuinely. I thought we talked. Yeah, I know you've seen some Seinfeld, not the rest of it. So a couple of things here. One, Lumen broke out instead of getting the bid. I gotta. Again, right when Lumen filled. So Lumen broke out instead of retesting the low. So it put in a higher low, and I didn't get in because I thought maybe you'd see some 10s or at least close to 10s. And then it broke out that top, so the quarters, I should say. So I get long at 25 when it hit the quarters. I don't know that I want to give that to 5, but that's actually not unreasonable given I only got in like a third of what I would want. So because of that, I can give it to the low. But if it makes another higher low, I still think I should be playing more in the teens there on Lumen. Tesla's flying, Upstart's flying. That's the biggest threat to this trend that NVIDIA has pulled. So I think this is the best sign maybe that we've seen that NVIDIA could pull back into the downside there, Obi. I just need some confirmation on that one. But Lumen's a new trade. Tesla just continuing to go to the upside. Retested, my trails out under here was already underneath that 50 by about 10 cents or so, and it's now holding the high. But I don't like that rejection candle. Yeah, I don't like this double. I don't like that double top. Let's see what this looks like on the 15. It's still looking good on the 15-minute, but you're getting into that resistance zone. The other thing I should have done is when you pull up, the reason I keep saying 200 on Tesla is just look at what this looks like on the daily chart. That's 200, like 199.80, 199.80, 199.50, 199.50 or so, and then you've got the 200 period moving average. That's a ton of resistance right here in the 199 half zone on Tesla. That's why I want to respect that sucker. So if it can't punch through that resistance, when I see the wicks up here, I just feel like I should be taking it out. I have a trail, but why am I even giving up that 50 cents? No. If we fail the top again on Tesla, I'm tightening the stop to 199 and just jumping right out. So it's testing that high. I'm just going to have finger on the trigger and want to pull ring the register here instead of randomly 60 cents higher. When I just looked at that daily chart, that's what it's telling me. So we're going to let Tesla try to break this high and get to 200. We're into Lumen, but I only got about a third of what I wanted because I wanted 15s, not 25s, as that one starts to wake itself up a little bit. Shopify still thinks 67.70, so I want that $1.50, not the 80 cents that's in the money. We've already scalped some of that out. The longs are churning right now. We get to 18.5. A lot of things can work. All right, we just broke the high on Tesla, so now the trail just got tighter on Tesla. I hope that made a little bit of sense. When I looked at that daily chart, I realized, why am I trying to get too much more on Tesla here? That doesn't make any sense when you look at that daily chart. So tightening up the stop, and now let's see what happens going into that $200 level.
Yes,
it's, oh my goodness, it's 11 o'clock already.
It's 11 o'clock.
Let's go Tesla, let's go market, let's go to Adara and Sharif, because it's already 11. Time for a little bit of learn to trade. Wow, time flies when you're having fun.
At least let the man finish. What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to How to Trade, formerly known as that Midday Show. That in the green pinstripes today is your girl Adara, and I've got a vest on, and it seems